Chapter 895, Invite. Chapter 895, Invite. Proofreader, Papatonks. A few chairs and a stone table were placed in the front yard, one of which was taken by a casual old man, sipping tea like he was right at home. Next to him was a fine girl, carefully peeking at him and looking conflicted. Dan Qingxin knew at a glance why, but played dumb. Miss Gu, what has gotten you so nervous? Feel free to return to your matters if you have to. I'll just wait here for Grandmaster Gu. It's not right. Cousin will surely blame me for leaving Sir Sword King unattended. Please overlook my uncouth and unfamiliar courtesy, ha ha ha. Shangguan Qingyang stiffened and had a weird smile while her heart was burning in anger. Not in her wildest dreams did she think Dan Qingxin would pay a house visit. Leaving him alone was out of the question as well. The old guy might wander around and stumble upon her clan once exposed. Everything would be laid to ruin when they were so close. They'd suffer heavy losses before the second ambush even began. That was why, even if she was wound tighter than a violin, she held it in like a champ. On top of that, she was pissed. Where the hell is that guard I sent to report to Dad? What should I do? Why aren't you saying something, Dad? And where's that Jiu Yifun? I'm close to dying here. With a knowing smile, Dan Qingxin began, Miss Gu is too kind. I just came on a whim, so you can treat me like any other old man. I wouldn't feel at ease otherwise. Dragon-cleaving Sword King is so modest, seeing yourself as an average old man. Shangguan Qingyang smiled. Dan Qingxin waved casually as he teased, well, if Miss Gu insists, seeing how Grandmaster Gu has yet to arrive, would it be possible to take a stroll around the back of this place? Dan Qingxin already got up. Shangguan Qingyang shook, then grew a notch more nervous. This humble abode is nothing impressive compared to a Sword King's manor. I wouldn't want to let you down. How can it be? A mountain needn't be high, it is famous for the deity residing there. A lake needn't be deep, it is magical with the dragon slumbering beneath the surface. My home is humble, but my presence brings it virtue. No matter how shabby Grandmaster Gu's home is, an 11th grade alchemist's house is leagues above anyone else's, ha ha ha. Smiley face. An epigraph in praise of my humble home by Liu Yuqi. Dan Qingxin started walking away. SSS. Gasping, Shangguan Qingyang was scared to death. Rushing to stop him, she teared up, Sir Sword King, there's really nothing impressive about this place. Please relax here and enjoy your tea. Miss Gu, you're looking a bit off there. Are you ill? Yes, I am feeling somewhat unwell. You have to take your medicine quickly and get some rest. You don't need to look after me, I can walk around by myself, ha ha ha. Dan Qingxin snickered as he toyed with the wee lass. Shangguan Qingyang shook all over, tears welling in her eyes. What do I do? How do I stop him? A laughter came from behind. Sir Sword King, you honor this house with your presence. What could have made Sir come here? What can I do, Sir, for? See, cousin. Zhuo Fan was walking over at his own casual pace. Shangguan Qingyang burst with joy, looking at him like a savior. Zhuo Fan laughed inside at her frantic look. Yang, your condition isn't stable. Go back in and rest. Leave dragon-cleaving Sword King in my care. All right. Shangguan Qingyang nodded and gave him a look. With a respectful gesture to Dan Qingxin, she left free, like an inmate finishing his sentence. Watching her skip away in glee, Dan Qingxin mocked, ha ha ha, this girl is like an escaped bird. Guess she had been terrified. And whose fault is that, I wonder? What are you doing messing with a little girl anyway? Zhuo Fan chuckled. Dan Qingxin shrugged. Can you blame me? Since when is receiving guests done in the front yard and not the parlor or even backyard? Now that's just rude. It's not like you don't know. It won't help anyone's case when everything comes to light. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes, pointing at a stone stool. Let's just talk here, lest you want everyone to soil themselves in fright. Why, am I that scary? What do you think? Sighing, Zhuo Fan said, you just haven't seen for yourself how close to losing it that Shangguan clan guard who came to tell me was. Anyone would be scared to death when one of the central area's 9 Sword Kings pays them a visit. Even before coming here, I saw the Shangguan clan huddled together in fright as they watched me come here, with even Shangguan Feixiong spilling his tea. Dan Qingxin sneered as he returned to his chair. Shangguan Feixiong? Ha ha ha, the last time I saw him he didn't look scared. The last time he was Eastern Land's strongest clan's clan head, while now he's a spy in the central area. How is that the same? Would you have attacked him in Eastern Lands? Would he attack you now, in the Flying Cloud City? Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes and mocked, sitting next to Dan Qingsheng. Dan Qingsheng nodded, harsh, but true, it's not the same, ha ha ha. So, why are you? Bailey Jingwei sent me. Like you predicted, they want to sow dissension. With a smirk, Dan Qingsheng began to retell everything they spoke, ending with a sigh. Boy, you're really something, I'll give you that, to hold your own against that old weasel Bailey Jingwei. To the point you're having complete control over everything from the shadows. Zhuo Fan showed a wide smile. Great, since they want to sow dissension, he'll make things easy on this little old spy. Exactly how I like it, ha ha ha. Little weasel. Dan Qingsheng snickered. Zhuo Fan gave him a long look and they both cracked up. They were both happy in their own way. Zhuo Fan, for seeing his plan coming along, and Dan Qingsheng, for helping a good friend regardless. The two were in high spirits and nothing could curb their good mood. Clan head, young Master Jiyu is quite good. His handling dragon cleaving sword king like a pro. There's not a trace of fear in him, amazing. Now I get why Bailey Jingwei didn't spot him. The Shangguan clan's experts were watching from the shadows as they hid in the elder's room while words did not reach them. The mood was enough to tell them how friendly they were. Shangguan Feixiong nodded in pride. I've made the right decision taking in this step, nephew. Clan head is brilliant. The others sucked up to him and praised, with only Shangguan Yulin feeling sour inside. Zhuo Fan and Dan Qingsheng finished their short talk, called Shangguan Qingyang to tell her about something, then stunned the Shangguan clan as they just went out. Once they were gone, Shangguan Feixiong rushed straight for Shangguan Qingyang. Yanga, what happened? Why is Dan Qingsheng taking Yifan? Oh, Dad, it's you. Having a mob of experts assaulting her scared her for a second. But seeing it was Shangguan Qingyang and the rest, she spoke heavily. Father, Dan Qingsheng invited Sir Jiyu to the manor. He looks to value him. This time it'll be a good chance to finish the map. Pa. Clenching his fists, Shangguan Feixiong was overly excited, turning to the rest. Did Dan Qingsheng notice us while he was here? Clan head, we have a barrier in the back to cover our auras. He shouldn't have noticed us. Great, this is providence. Shangguan Feixiong's eyes flashed, his tone firm. Men, we've quarreled enough on this mission. Flying Cloud Manor wants Yifan so bad while ignoring this house. This shows they don't know about us. Not to mention we saw Yifan's attitude just now. He and Dragon Cleaving Sword King are friendly and I bet so are the other two. Then we must relax and make use of this rare opportunity. All we need now is for Yifan to finish the map and the attack will commence. They all cupped their fists and shouted, yes, sir. Shangguan Yulin grinned. Shangguan Yulin was by the side smiling in pride, with something sinister hidden within. Chapter 896. Jade Falls. Chapter 896, Jade Falls. Proofreader, Papa Tonks. Back at Flying Cloud Manor once more, he was met with the same imposing gate, the same impressive guards, yet a most contrasting welcome. Dan Qingsheng and Zhuo Fan were met with bows of respect all around. Welcome Dragon Cleaving Sword King and Grandmaster Jiyu, a blessing to you. Zhuo Fan shot up to the level of the 9 Sword Kings practically, and literally, overnight. Even he was taken aback at the treatment. He noticed Dan Qingsheng shrugging and leading the way with a smile. Zhuo Fan rose an eyebrow, following with a peculiar smile. Passing many pavilions and gardens, the two arrived at a fabulous and grandiose hall. Bailey Jingwei and Shangguan Feiyun were waiting for them in their seats. Ha ha ha, Grandmaster Jiyu, you're here at last. Have you handled your matters home? Shangguan Feiyun welcomed him with a laugh. Zhuo Fan gave a short bow. Sword King Feiyun needn't trouble. There's not much to look after at home, mostly finishing the chores, and I swiftly accepted Sword King's invitation. Might I ask what was the reason? Grandmaster, you're talking like I'm forcing you, ha ha ha. Shangguan Feiyun laughed again with a casual wave. He took Zhuo Fan's wrist, being overly friendly. There are just 5 days before Grandmaster will be leaving for the imperial capital with Prime Minister Bailey. With your skill and potential, you're sure to become the main alchemist in the imperial capital in no time. Grandmaster may even be under Invincible Sword, Patriarch's favorite. Those days will make it even harder for me to see Grandmaster in person. Before it comes to pass, I wanted to get to know Grandmaster better and have you leave my jurisdiction with peace of mind, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan nodded, chuckling and cupping his hands. Sword King, you're just too kind to me. Shangguan Feiyun was a typical flatterer right now. Striking before he reached fame to get close and earning returns when he went big, but what was even clearer was Shangguan Feiyun's utmost respect was to give him the chance to scout the place. I'm not denying you anything because I'm fawning all over you. Making intelligence gathering too easy would rouse suspicions instead. But now this problem was solved through this most logical explanation. Taking a look around him, Zhuo Fan knew this was one of the 5 blank spots on Shangguan Qingyan's map. He just got to the manor and already filled one gap in the map. Bailey Jingwei sure is meticulous, filling in all the details. From indulging his scout role, to setting up the place for this guest, all was done within reason. He figured all of this out only because he had someone playing triple agent with every side, ha ha ha. The world is going down the drain if even the proud Sword King Feiyun mastered the art of ingratiating. Bailey Jingwei laughed and walked over to them, afraid Zhuo Fan didn't get such an obvious hint. Kid, Shangguan Feiyun won't do nothing to you no matter what you break in this manor, or what place you barge into. All because he wants to get closer to you, so don't doubt for a second a scheme is afoot. This confirmed Zhuo Fan's conjectures even more. They were throwing the info to his feet. Why am I being tough? The time is now. Zhuo Fan grinned. Shangguan Feiyun found his act lacking, so he went on, grabbing Zhuo Fan's shoulder and glaring at Bailey Jingwei. Prime Minister, how can you say that? Grandmaster Gu is a genius coming from my own domain. What's wrong with being a good host in my own home by looking after Grandmaster Gu? Don't use your corrupt official rules on me. I appreciate talent just as you do, and I value Grandmaster Gu the most. Sword King Feiyun, does the manor have some marvels and sceneries that I can enjoy? Zhuo Fan cut him off with stars in his eyes. Shangguan Feiyun shook, giving him a flat look. Bailey Jingwei was taken off guard as well. I haven't even finished my script to justify your visit to the manor yet you drop this sudden line? That saves us the foreplay, showing you right in, spy. Shangguan Feiyun laughed and gestured in invitation. Of course there are. Right this way, Grandmaster Gu. I dare say my manor has the best views, comparable even with the Thunder Pavilion in the imperial capital. You, sir, will be amazed at the breathtaking experience. Ha ha ha. I can hardly wait. Zhuo Fan was excited as well, rubbing his hands as his eyes shone. He cared not what the Shangguan clan and Flying Cloud Manor were up to, just that his goal just so happened to be here. While they want dissension, I'll use my role as a spy this time to find what I want in this place. It just doesn't get any better than this. Hey. Shangguan Feiyun grabbed Zhuo Fan and walked him out like an old friend. Dan Qingshan chuckled and turned serious. Prime Minister Bailey, you guys have made a script for hours to get Grandmaster Gu to play along. Now, instead of affirming your fears of finding it out, he just went head in with the script, falling for the first line in scouting the manor. If you knew, you and Sword King Feiyun would've just took him strolling instead. Ha ha ha. Right you are. Bailey Jingwei chuckled as he shook his head. I've never seen a newbie spy like Grandmaster Gu in my life. He's not meandering at all, but reveals his goal from the start. We'd have long since thrown him into a torture chamber to squeeze the info out of him if we hadn't already known everything. So much planning, all gone to waste on this green spy. Even if we continued to fake it, he'd still not care because he was no spy, but an alchemist. Dan Qingshan remained silent, showing only a smirk. Know everything? Haha, Prime Minister, why this kid here knows way more than even the greatest sage in the empire. Dan Qingshan and Bailey Jingwei smiled. Following after them, Shangguan Feiyun took Zhuo Fan in the backyard, where another blank spot on the map was located. Zhuo Fan was excited. Now, is there another whirlwind tunnel here? The roaring of a waterfall rumbled in his ears. Zhuo Fan barely contained his joy, as even his body shook. Shangguan Feiyun didn't notice it as he led the way. They soon arrived before a 300-meter-tall waterfall, revealed to them in the form of a white curtain. Glittering stars rained down from above. What made this waterfall so special was the lack of any cliffs. The water just fell from the air in an unending suspended river that wound through unseen obstacles before climbing back into the skies. This was a waterfall made of one complete circle of water, with the flow shaping all kinds of spaces, even tumbling in some areas. The sheer spectacle was enough to leave Zhuo Fan speechless. As water went down, Man climbed up a common saying that was toppled here and now. Water was not only taking form, but expressed different states, from soft to hard even without Sword King Feiyun's words. He knew this was the whirlwind tunnel he wanted to find. With a prideful look, Shangguan Feiyun pointed, "Ha ha ha, Grandmaster Ji, wasn't I right? This here is the most amazing sight in the world, Jade Falls, endless and flowing. The water just stands in the air, held by nothing, unmarred by the mortal world, yet solid as any mountain. It is a cultivator's paradise with its incredible spiritual energy, even more so for a water cultivator. It also helps calm one's restless heart. The ones who can't make use of it are those related to alchemy and refining." "I can see that." Zhuo Fan nodded. "Even so, it's still a great place to cultivate. Truly everyone looks upon Sword King Feiyun with envy for you to have such a paradise at your disposal." Shangguan Feiyun chuckled, "Oh, no, this is bestowed by the world. I couldn't possibly take it for myself. And I'm also not gaining as much from it from our incompatible attributes. The only help comes from clearing one's Dao heart." Zhuo Fan nodded. Zhuo Fan's right arm flashed an eerie red glow and a thick bloodthirst shot from the waterfall at him. Zhuo Fan was shocked, so were the rest. Shangguan Feiyun welcomed him in his own home, yet now someone dared to attack. Chapter 897, Soaring Sword. Chapter 897, Soaring Sword. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh. As the water sprayed everywhere, a flash of red sword aura from the falls shot right at Zhuo Fan. The icy piercing bloodthirst bit into his face, making his skin crawl. A sacred weapon? Zhuo Fan's heart thumped, his fists balled up. This was his second time seeing a sacred weapon, first being in the Double Dragon manor where the vaulting sword got him good. Not even the nigh indestructible Qilin arm could hold it back. With such a sharp edge, there was hardly anything out there that could truly resist it. The sacred beast aura must have triggered it. The only way to stop it is with my divine eye of the void. Forged by the heavenly sovereign and sword sovereign, this sacred weapon would be meek in the face of its master's power. Unfortunately, he wasn't alone this time around, with 3 other spectators. By pushing back a sacred weapon now was the same as blowing his cover. It would make all his effort so far useless. Zhuo Fan's heart tensed in hesitation, not knowing what to do. As the crimson sword aura drew closer and closer, he was stuck in a dilemma. Nonetheless, his right eye flashed golden, ready to act if needed be. First priority would always be his life, of course. "How dare you come out when I'm with an important guest? Leave at once." The roaring voice of Shangguan Feiyun echoed out. Zhuo Fan chuckled with a sneer. He'd never believe it for a second that Shangguan Feiyun could control the raging sacred weapon. Genesis stage they might be, at peak of the mortal domain, but mortals all the same. Yet they thought of commanding a sacred weapon? You should be grateful the great weapon a sovereign forge would even allow you to wield it. Instead of respecting its parent, you holler at it and expect it to bow down? That's a 6th grade sacred weapon, not some spiritual toothpick. It demands respect. Only to look on with a dumb look at what he was witnessing the next moment. The red sword faltered in midair and hovered, actually listening to Shangguan Feiyun. Zhuo Fan's eye twitched. No way. What's a 6th grade sacred weapon doing listening to some mortal domain citizen? Brew, you're the best of the best, made by a sovereign himself, so how can you just fall so low as to obey some Genesis stage expert? Where's your dignity? Where's your pride? Did you lose them on your way down to the moral domain? Zhuo Fan watched the inconceivable play with mixed emotions. He had to switch vaulting sword soul with blood infant to get that one now though. Shangguan Feiyun had done him one better, with this one sword soul completely capitulating to him. It was the only logical explanation for this ridiculous scene. It made him wonder though, why is a sovereign-made sacred weapon giving in just like that? Why is it going against heavenly sovereign's order to kill the sacred beasts and listening to Shangguan Feiyun instead? Zhuo Fan stood there, rooted in doubt. Shangguan Feiyun took it for fear and laughed in apology. "Grandmaster Ji, forgive me. This sword is the greatest treasure of eastern lands I brought along, soaring divine sword, which needs a place of thick spiritual energy to reside in. So I just placed it in the Jade Falls along with sacred stones. Unlike any spiritual weapon, this divine weapon has a will of its own and shuns strangers. It must have sensed you and burst out. Forgive me for letting it scare Grandmaster. It's fine, it's my honor to witness the great Eastern Land's divine weapon, soaring sword, ha ha ha, Zhuo Fan chuckled. Shangguan Feiyun and Bailey Jingwei shared a nod and an evil grin. With the soaring sword's location known, all that's left is for them to make a move, humph. Tilde. But then the red sword aura flashed once more, followed by the soaring sword disregarding Shangguan Feiyun's order as it attacked Zhuo Fan again. The immense pressure and savagery took his breath away. Shangguan Feiyun narrowed his eyes and barked, "Soaring sword, stop this instant. He's my honored guest." Clang. The soaring sword expressed its refusal with a ringing sound, still coming at Zhuo Fan to end him where he stood. "Curses, I thought I told you to stop already." With a mask of rage, Shangguan Feiyun drew two fingers together and swiped. A sword energy shot straight at soaring sword. Bam! The sky cracked with a deafening thunderclap. The shockwave spread throughout the whole of Flying Cloud Manor. The guard held their ears in pain as they bled from eyes, nose, and mouth. The weaker ones had it worse, knocked out on the spot. Not that the closest Soul Harmony and Genesis stage experts closest to Bailey Jingwei and Zhuo Fan fared any better. Lucky that Dan Qingshun was there to take the brunt, cancelling it with the gale he sent with a casual swipe of his hand. It by no means managed to relieve Zhuo Fan of his frown. Amazed by what he was seeing instead of feeling fear, soaring sword actually halted at Shangguan Feiyun's attack, even if it kept shaking in midair. This can't be. Zhuo Fan was stunned once more by the soaring sword. The sacred weapons were outrageously strong. He should know, since just one meager sword energy was enough to pierce his Qilin arm. How was it that now some guy's attack got it stuck? Zhuo Fan was finding it hard to accept. Is that attack so much stronger than the sacred weapon? That's absurd. Even if it wasn't a sovereign-made weapon, it's a 6th grade sacred weapon for a reason. It just can't be so weak as to be trapped under some mortal's attack. But reality couldn't be denied. Sword King Feiyun held more strength in handling Heavenly Sovereign's sacred weapon than he who used tricks. Tilde. The soaring sword rang as it shook in the air, but it was soon apparent it was growing weaker. Shangguan Feiyun kept his fingers out all this time, getting weaker? Then get back in there and recover. Don't let me catch you bursting out and scaring my guests again. Shangguan Feiyun flicked his hand and the Shangguan Feiyun was flung back. It tumbled through the air before entering the waterfall. Zhuo Fan eased a breath, giving Shangguan Feiyun a long look. He really is the best in Eastern Lands for a reason. Grandmaster Gu, everyone, I must apologize. I don't know what has gotten into that divine sword to scare you. Please forgive me. Shangguan Feiyun looked contrite as he cupped his hands. Bailey Jingwei laughed offhandedly. That divine weapon has always been weird. It must be our sudden arrival into its domain that provoked the divine weapon. No apology necessary. We wouldn't have gotten to witness Sword King Feiyun's great skill otherwise. Sword King Feiyun's soaring sword art has improved even more, ha ha ha. Prime Minister, there's no need to joke. I take full responsibility for this mistake. Shangguan Feiyun chuckled and turned to Zhuo Fan. I must have startled you, Grandmaster Gu. Why don't you go to your room, now that it is ready, and rest for the day? I shall be personally giving you a tour of the garden tomorrow and use the chance to get closer. Zhuo Fan bowed, looking disturbed, but forced a smile. Sword King is too kind. I can only accept the offer. Let us continue tomorrow. The others bowed and Dan Qingshun said, I'll show Grandmaster Gu to his room. At the nod of the other two, Zhuo Fan and Dan Qingshun walked out of sight. Bailey Jingwei whined out of earshot, Shangguan Feiyun, I only asked you to reveal the soaring sword to Grandmaster Gu to patch up the map, but you went overboard with making a scene and scaring him as well. He's just a radiant stage cultivator. What if you scared his wits away too? How are you going to find me another talent with the potential to become the best alchemist in the world? Prime Minister Bailey, it wasn't me. Shangguan Feiyun frowned. Bailey Jingwei gave him a look. Who else is there? You're the only one in the Flying Cloud Manor that commands the soaring sword. That's just it. Shangguan Feiyun gave a perplexed sigh. I wanted to lead him to Jade Falls to give him a peek of the soaring sword. But for some strange reason, the sword came out by itself and attacked Grandmaster Gu. It had such a thick bloodlust too, that it overrode my command. This has never happened before. Bailey Jingwei frowned, filled with doubt. Does him being a stranger have anything to do with it, I wonder? The manor is filled with strangers, but none triggered Soaring Sword's bloodlust. Just what is going on here? Shangguan Feiyun gnashed his teeth, his eyes flashing. Chapter 898, Sacred Weapon Get. Chapter 898, Sacred Weapon Get. Proofreader, Papatonks. In the peaceful gardens, an old man and a youth walked shoulder to shoulder. The guards didn't mind them once Zhuo Fan saw the coast was clear and gave Dan Qingshan a questioning gaze. Old Dan, how come Shangguan Feiyun has such an easy time controlling the soaring sword? Back in Double Dragon Manor, the vaulting sword got me good. Its power isn't something just anyone can block. Can't you tell? It's because he grew up alongside the sword and understands its nature. Dan Qingshan glanced at him. It only worked to puzzle Zhuo Fan more. What's that supposed to mean? Boy, why do you think the factions covet the 5 divine weapons that can become guardian divine weapons? Dan Qingshan had a smirk on his face. Zhuo Fan blurted, since the 5 divine weapons are outstanding, can cut anything, making the wielder fight 10 at a time and can even kill a stage above the wielder. There's nothing strange about being called a guardian divine weapon either. Ha ha ha, wrong. What you describe there is anything with a sharp edge, not nearly enough for a divine weapon to earn the respect of all experts in the world. Why would the invincible sword be afraid and desire them then? I guess you haven't entered Double Dragon Manor yet. Haha, do you want to know why the 9 sects of Western lands would just send their disciples thousands of miles away to fight in the Double Dragon Gathering for the chance to cultivate in the Double Dragon Manor? Since Double Dragon Manor monopolized the sacred stones, right? Zhuo Fan continued with a frown. Sacred stones are the fastest way to groom outstanding disciples and guard Western lands along with its resources and interests. What other reason is there? With a teasing grin, Dan Qingshan nodded. You're not wrong there. But sacred stones aren't limited to having a thick spiritual energy, they can also wash one's marrow, improving a cultivator's constitution. As for the most important reason, well, ha ha ha. Dan Qingshan pointed at his head. Brains? Zhuo Fan lit up. Dan Qingshan rolled his eyes. Speaking of brains, there are many wise men out there who can use their heads far better than cultivators. Like Bailey Jingwei and other high officials of empires, smarter than cultivators alike. Why is it that the Double Dragon Manor didn't invite them over? You mean insight? Dan Qingshan's eyes shone, his voice firm. Cultivators gain insight in the world around them. It's a must to learn all the arts and skills out there. The level of insight will make 2 cultivators feel completely different despite using the same skill and having the same cultivation. Double Dragon Manor is holding their contest to look into the sects for seeds with high insight. I'm sure you noticed by now that power isn't enough to get you in. While insight and power go hand in hand, it's not always the case. You've seen the 4 girls' array at the gathering, how weak it was. Yet they got invited anyway. This is the reason. That array holds the world, giving the 4 girls value in being nurtured. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. Having mentioned Chu Qingqing's group, Dan Qingshan reminded him of his pain. But he soon recovered. What's that got to do with the 5 divine weapons? Plenty. Dan Qingshan turned grave. The divine weapons can open one's mind, helping the user understand better arts and skills. That's understanding, not learning. It's not just handed to you on a jade slip, but something you discover out of nowhere. This is insight. A low insight blocks you from understanding the inner workings of the world and its Tao, while also stopping you from gaining a unique skill of your own. It's why I have twin souls and the dragon cleaving art. Everything stemmed from the insight the vaulting sword invested in me. The same applies to Shangguan Feiyun's soaring sword art he understood from the soaring sword. Almost every top expert of the lands has their power stemming from the understanding of the divine weapon. The level of their strength is set apart only by their insight. The most known is Invincible Sword Bailey Yutian. That old freak's sundering sword art has reached perfection. Nothing and no one can stop him. But it's not enough to make him relax, fearing there might be someone out there that would gain equal insights from other divine weapons like he did. That's why, shuddering, Zhuo Fan was so overwhelmed he blocked out Dan Qingshan's last words. He came to know a shocking secret. The 5 sacred weapons weren't just in the 6th grade, but also contained Sword Sovereign's sword path. The mortal domain cultivators were walking the path of the Sword Sovereign treaded through these sacred weapons. That's why Shangguan Feiyun can control the soaring sword. He got most of the soaring sword's core sword skill that the soaring sword is based on. Heaven Trailing Sect's High Venerable's words came to mind just then. He was near the vaulting sword and understood in 3 days his unique skill. Heaven Trailing Sword, only his contact with the sacred weapon was very short, making his understanding lacking compared with Shangguan Feiyun and Danqing Shun, who had great insights on top of being around the weapons for longer. This was not to say the Heaven Trailing Sword wasn't in a league of its own. Now that was a unique skill. It meant that Shangguan Feiyun and Danqing Shun, who spent their days understanding the sacred weapon, more fully comprehended the Sword Sovereign's sword. They of course were even more amazing. Zhuo Fan now lost all his disdain for the top brass of the mortal domain. Looking at it from a certain angle, they were training in the arts of sacred domain. With the knowledge a sovereign left behind, Zhuo Fan turned serious, regretting how he had the vaulting sword with him for 2 years, yet it was used as nothing more than a glorified paperweight, having learned nothing from it. Even if the sword spirit got swapped, the knowledge was still there somewhere. He didn't pick up swordsmanship all this time since he didn't want to practice it, and also because he saw no one around him worthy to teach him. Now though, the sacred weapon had inside a sovereign's legacy. How could he just let this monumental occasion slip by? That's for later though. What takes priority is the job, sealing the World Wind Tunnel and giving this town the slip with young Sanzi. Seeing him deep in thought, obviously oblivious to his words, Danqing Shun rolled his eyes. Anyways, be extra careful. Divine weapons are treasured anywhere in this world. The Shangguan clan isn't here to get the soaring sword back just cause it's sharp, but escape from Invincible Sword's oppressive yoke, while also bearing the responsibility for future experts. This applies to all lands. If you plan on going after the divine weapon, know that not just Shangguan Feiyun, but even Bailey Jingwei will come for you. I know that. I'll be extra careful. Zhuo Fan chuckled with a carefree smile. Danqing Shun nodded after a long look. He knew just how smart Zhuo Fan was and that he had his own plans, so he just reminded him. He then left Zhuo Fan in his room the next day. Shangguan Feiyun came to knock on his door to give him a tour of the premises and complete the map. Zhuo Fan milked his new role for all it's worth in the meanwhile, exploring the manor's every corner, raising questions and earning answers to any and all things he didn't know or understand. The only thing missing were the holes the mice left in Shangguan Feiyun's room. Other than that, he knew the place like the back of his hand. In face of Zhuo Fan's brazen and absurd requests, Shangguan Feiyun's group acted off-handedly, answering every time. While grumbling inside, this spy is getting a bit out of hand here. He's even asking about the guard's shift change. For God's sake. Do we look like idiots to you? Anyone with half a brain will know you're Shangguan clan's spy the minute you ask that. What are you doing even asking them? Shangguan Feiyun noticed Zhuo Fan didn't ask out brazen attitude, but out of awkwardness. Just when Bailey Jingwei was having enough of this poor excuse of a spy, Zhuo Fan's next question took the cake. I wonder if there are any secret escape tunnels out of the manor. Not telling. Shangguan Feiyun's face twitched and chuckled. Grandmaster Gu, how can Flying Cloud Manor have something like that? Why are you asking anyway? Run. Zhuo Fan spoke with utter conviction. I heard the manor was under attack by assassins a while back. I need to know so I can flee if they come again. Shangguan Feiyun gave him a long look. This was a sore spot for him. Why is he so cheerfully asking about it? Isn't he scared I'll suspect him? Bailey Jingwei was far more astute. Grandmaster Gu isn't as green as I thought. He knows how to probe for information. Flying Cloud Manor has the Sword King. There's no thief who dare enter here. And we'll be returning to the imperial capital soon. We'll need Grandmaster Gu to look after the Crown Prince's condition soon. Bailey Jingwei's meaning was clear. I came for the Crown Prince and have no time to dawdle around. Do what you need, attack the manor while at it, but I'll be going either way. Zhuo Fan smiled and nodded, meeting Bailey Jingwei's eyes and sharing agreement. The 5 days flew by and Zhuo Fan's map was made whole as a result. Though he wasn't exactly keen on giving it to the Shangguan clan as the Soaring Sword and the Jade Falls happened to be in the same place, he and them now had a conflict of interests. He needed lots of time for his job and that meant the Shangguan clan had to fight it out with Shangguan Feiyun, preferably elsewhere. Chapter 899, Reporting. Chapter 899, Reporting. Proofreader, Papatonks. Grandmaster Gu will be setting off first thing in the morning. The dawn of the fourth day came, yet Shuo Fan hadn't even asked to go back to his home, while Bailey Jingwei had since been wanting him to do so from the start, so he gave Shuo Fan the perfect excuse to report back. Going to Imperial Capital will mean seeing His Majesty and then His Highness to cure him. Things will get very complicated for a long time, making settling your family hard. You're going to have to leave your family for a while, Grandmaster Gu. So before we go, would you like to go home and say your goodbyes? So you won't appear cold. Shuo Fan smiled, getting the gist. Prime Minister is so thoughtful. It's my intention as well. Then Grandmaster Gu can return to his family for today, and the Dragon-Cleaving Sword King shall escort us to the Imperial Capital the next day. It's been half a month now since I left the Imperial Capital, and we can't delay addressing the Crown Prince's state any longer. Bailey Jingwei's eyes flashed, looking restless. Shuo Fan grinned inside while giving a nod. I admire Prime Minister's devotion, a pillar of the nation and its people. Be at ease, sir. I shall give my very best in curing the Crown Prince once we arrive, as gratitude for Prime Minister's favor now. Thank you, Grandmaster Gu. The day is nevertheless short, so hurry back to your family. Bailey Jingwei waved him off with a kind smile. Shuo Fan retreated after a bow. Just as he faded from view, it was Shangguan Feiyun's cue to step in from a side door, snickering. Going to give his report? Yes, now it's their move, ha ha ha, beaming. Bailey Jingwei leaned back on his chair, easing into it and feeling control over the entire board. None could escape his palm. Shuo Fan went to the Shangguan clan with a clear mind and intent to give them the map they tasked him to patch up. He just opened the door and Shangguan Qingyang yanked him in, not forgetting to stick her head out after and check if the coast was clear. She closed the door shut and pulled him to the parlor. Hurry up. Dad and everyone are getting impatient. Uncle's waiting for me? Shuo Fan asked. Bailey Jingwei only let me off today. How did you guys know so fast? Shangguan Qingyang rolled her eyes. Of course we didn't know. Dad and the Venerables had always been eager for good news ever since you left, waiting and waiting. But then it took 5 days. Any longer and Dad would have sent me over to ask for you. Nodding, Shuo Fan saw just how crucial the operation was for Shangguan Feixiong, and how tense they were because of it. Better for him, actually, since it made fooling them easier. Getting to be the final winner in this mission was going to be a walk in the park. Now Shuo Fan grinned, letting Shangguan Qingyang take him to the parlor. Shangguan Feixiong and the others were beyond restless, pacing all over the place. Maybe the chairs had splinters in them. Dad, Sir Gu is back. Her bright voice echoed throughout the room, pulling on everyone's jittery heartstrings. Every pair of eyes were fixed on Shuo Fan's plain face with a burning gaze. Seeing him so casual filled them with respect and expectations. It was like meeting their ancestors. Shangguan Feixiong stepped forward and took a deep breath. He grabbed Shuo Fan's shoulder and spoke eagerly. Yifan, why are you back at last? SSS tilde. The weight was too much on Shangguan Feixiong's nerves, forgetting himself and squeezing hard. Shuo Fan winced. Uncle, why your hand? Oh, sorry, I got a little too excited there, ha ha ha. Letting go, Shangguan Feixiong gave an awkward smile, then he turned serious. Yifan, how is it? Is the map? Grinning from ear to ear, Shuo Fan's hand glowed to reveal a white paper cover in squiggles most defined and intricate. Uncle, rest easy knowing that there's not a stone unchecked in the manner when I made this map. Snatching the map in eagerness, he also took out the map Shangguan Qingyang made for comparison. Ha ha ha. It is indeed more detailed than Yang's. And it includes the 5 blank spots as well with added details. But where exactly are these 5 places? Why are they under heavy guard and restricted? Do you know, Yifan? How could I have not looked into it? That would mean I'd be endangering my Shangguan clan's brothers. Shuo Fan beamed and pointed at the map with pride. Uncle, here is the treasury, filled with the manor's valuables. Here is the barracks, where the guards rotate, and the armory is located, holding demonic treasures and spiritual weapons. And this here is Shangguan Feiyun's private quarters, holding his wives, children, cultivation partners. What a rotten degenerate, how come he has so many cultivation partners? What about me? Shuo Fan looked green with envy. wishing to replace Shangguan Feiyun in knightly cultivation, but then his words got cut off by the sharp kick in the leg, making him cry out. He looked back to see a pair of raging eyes boring holes into him. Shangguan Qingyang glared and was ticked off. You're supposed to be scouting the manor, not the guy's harem. Did you already forget about your wife in Western lands? Yifan, you're going overboard here. This is no time to think about dual cultivation, you're on a mission here. Be more serious. Glaring at him, Shangguan Feixiong chided as well, now also holding his shoulder. Though to train in Shangguan clan's soaring sword art, we have no choice but to resort to dual cultivation, as well as we need to expel the savage energy inside us. Once we get back to Eastern lands, I'll personally teach you this ultimate skill. No need to rush it. Zhuo Fan was intrigued, so that's why Shangguan Feiyun didn't look like a genuine horn dog. It's because he's doing it to cultivate. He got the shock of his life when Shangguan Feiyun took him to his private quarters. With 72 concubines around, this Sword King was an emperor in his own right. When he thought Sir Sword King was about to give him a couple, he found that he was here to take a peek, and that was it. Thank heavens I'm no leecher, or that glorious view would have haunted me for the rest of my life. Now he knew that this was related to the skill in the soaring sword. It was too savage for just anyone to learn, and they had to vent it somehow before it did more harm than good. The best way just happened to be dual cultivation. Zhuo Fan nodded, and the other Shangguan clansmen gave back a knowing smile. Shangguan Qingyang was looking a bit dark there. Among them, humph, with a degenerate master one only gets degenerate disciples. Is that how a clan head acts? Where's the honor in that? Ahem, right, let's get back on topic. With an embarrassed smile, Shangguan Feixiong patted Zhuo Fan's head, pinning the blame on him. Don't lead us along, kid, this is serious. Deadly so. How could you distract us so much? Now, what about the remaining 2 areas? Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes and cursed, you're just upright in the wrong place. I hardly ever did dual cultivation myself, while your clan does it on a daily basis for cultivation. You have the nerve to point your finger at me? Just how many maidens have you ruined? He made sure to keep that part to himself, while giving them a knowing nod, giving this discount uncle a scapegoat. He continued, this is Shangguan Feiyun's resting room, under tight guard of course. And this is something called Jade Falls, a paradise with thick spiritual energy. It is here where I saw a peculiar item, Eastern Land's divine weapon, soaring sword. Soaring sword is in there. Shangguan Feixiong's eyes shook, his face filled with joy. He turned to see the rest were just as happy. They had charged in last time without knowing of Soaring Sword's location and had spent half an hour searching to no avail. Now they knew where it was, they had a target to follow, the mission will work. Everyone was excited, with Shangguan Feixiong's face growing red, unable to calm down. Chapter 900, Real and Fake Maps. Chapter 900, Real and Fake Maps. Proofreader. Papatonks. Yifan, you've done exemplary work once more, ha ha ha. Shangguan Feixiong's lips quivered as he laughed, unable to hold himself from slamming Zhuo Fan's shoulder again and making Zhuo Fan wince under the force. He only had those teary eyes to show for the pressure he was under, blocking the man from crushing him some more. Zhuo Fan beamed, Uncle, are you after the soaring sword? Yes, with how you've done the clan such great service twice, I'll tell you. Shangguan Feixiong sighed. The highest powers of Shangguan have gone through a great journey from the eastern lands to the central area. But it wasn't to get the traitor Shangguan Feiyun, since we couldn't defeat him even back home, to say nothing in his own turf. We did it all for the greatest treasure of eastern lands, soaring sword. It must be hard to imagine just how important it is to us. Zhuo Fan kept his understanding of the matter silent, though if it weren't for Dan Qingshan's mention, he'd still be oblivious of the 5 sacred weapons roles. That the sacred weapon was not just a single man's strength, but the glory of a clan, of course they'd go through hell to get it back. Shangguan Feixiong took his silence for ignorance and chuckled as he thanked, anyway, Yifan, because of you, Shangguan clan's glory will continue. The clan will never forget what you've done for us. You're our most glorious member. Really? Does that mean I can strut around the clan? Raising an eyebrow, Zhuo Fan chuckled. Putting on a mischievous act, Shangguan Feixiong laughed, and the rest no longer disdained him, but found this step young master to be trustworthy and valuable. Even cute Shangguan Yulin was the only one watching from way back with a poisonous stare. Shangguan Feixiong signaled the men to calm down and looked at them with confidence. Men, we've been at odds because of the dangers regarding the mission, now I dare say this chance is providence. With this map, the Flying Cloud Manor can have 2 Sword Kings, and can have Bailey Jingwei, but it means nothing. We will strike fast, take the Soaring Sword and return to Eastern lands at once. And they won't be able to do anything to stop us. Uncle, I don't know about 2 Sword Kings, just that Flying Cloud Manor only has Shangguan Feiyun. Zhuo Fan grinned. Shangguan Feixiong started. What? Ha ha ha, Bailey Jingwei is worried about the Crown Prince's condition and wants to take me as the main alchemist back to the imperial capital, with the dragon-cleaving Sword King acting as guard. Zhuo Fan muttered, that's why Bailey Jingwei had me return today to look after my family before we go tomorrow. Shangguan Feixiong looked at him long with a stumped gaze. You're serious? Bailey Jingwei said it himself, and so did Dragon-Cleaving Sword King. It has to be real. Zhuo Fan said. Shangguan Feiyun shuddered, then finally reacted, ha ha ha, providence indeed. Heaven has blessed the Shangguan clan. Bailey Jingwei and Dragon-Cleaving Sword King are leaving, with only Shangguan Feiyun remaining. Now our success is nigh, ha ha ha. Congratulations, clan head, with heaven's gift, we will succeed for sure. The rest joined in with their excitement. Everyone was happy, so much so they were acting as if it was a blowout, like the soaring sword was in their hands. Shangguan Feixiong used the lively spirits to work on the plan of attack on the manor for the second time. Looking at them fired up, Zhuo Fan had a quirky smile. On this earth, it's not providence, but me helping you. Though I do have to thank you for helping me as well, ha ha ha. Whoosh. Hours passed, and after intense debates, Shangguan Feixiong's team settled on a strategy. They would engage 3 days after Bailey Jingwei left standing in a somewhat hidden corner. Shangguan Yulin learned of this and slipped away, to a secluded spot to send a jade slip flying towards the manor. Darting his head around, looking for any faces, Shangguan Yulin returned in equal silence to his room. Closing the door, a quite familiar darkness took him once more. His senses were blind in this abyss, unable to see his own fingers. Face twitching, Shangguan Yulin's heart reached rock bottom, lamenting his fate as he groveled on the ground. He banged his head 3 times and declared, "Greetings, master." Ha ha ha, you're looking quite sharp this time around, kid. Master, it's only natural for a disciple to greet this master with the respect sir deserves. With a revolted look, Shangguan Yulin looked to be used to it by now, being as meek as a wee lamb. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone. I must say, you've elevated your shamelessness to a whole new level. You truly live up to the title I bestowed upon you, degenerate demon, ha ha ha. Shangguan Yulin turned a deaf ear, his face stony. Well, that's enough small talk. Where's the map? Zhuo Fan squinted, cutting straight to the chase, and before you say it's not done yet, I saw the kid return with my own eyes. Shangguan Yulin inhaled deeply and revealed a white paper, a copy he made. Master, I prepared this map of the manor for you. I ask that master receives it. Well done, for being tactful too, eh? The map flew into the darkness and Zhuo Fan inspected it. Is Shangguan Yulin that sincere to not mess with it at all? Soon though, Shangguan Yulin looked at the abyss and reported, Master, you must be after the soaring sword as well, right? Well, aren't you chatty? Glancing over, Zhuo Fan said, what's it to you? Shangguan Yulin paused and said, He, if yes, I urge master to act 3 days later. Why? It's the same day that Shangguan clan will attack and master can use the chaos to your advantage. Shangguan Yulin sported a nasty smirk. Zhuo Fan mocked, why are you so nice to me? A master a day, a father for life. I can no more be rude to master than I could denounce my own father. Shangguan Yulin raised an eyebrow as he spouted corny stuff with a straight face. Zhuo Fan had a total disbelieving mocking tone. What about your clan, or your lord? They are nothing compared to master. With a wide smile, Shangguan Yulin said, only you dictate my fate. Zhuo Fan gave him a long look, that does make some sense. Also, master, you know that I'm working for the Flying Cloud Manor. That means the Shangguan clan's attack to get the soaring sword will be a trap. Master would gain nothing if you plan on taking the divine sword from them. Shangguan Yulin gave another deep bow, as if advising Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan faked anger. What's that supposed to mean? First you want me to use the chaos to my advantage and now you're telling me not to. Are you mocking me? No, that's not it, Master. Shangguan Yulin snickered. Barging into the manor after Shangguan clan isn't a good plan. Only when the two sides fight will the chance become obvious. It won't get any easier than then to steal the divine sword. That's why I suggest Master capitalize on this diversion to get away with the sword. Zhuo Fan squinted. Speak. Master, please consider giving the map a careful look. There are two areas, the easternmost one where Jade falls where the soaring sword is and the northernmost one where Shangguan Feiyun's resting room is. First is the original place of the sword while the second where Shangguan Feiyun will hide it. In my time at the manor, I've seen Shangguan Feiyun taking the soaring sword to his room. The spiritual energy there is also thick, not just for cultivating, but to store the soaring sword as well. Shangguan Yulin had an evil smile. They know the Shangguan clan's moves and will hide the divine sword. So it has to be in the second location. When the two sides meet at the Jade Falls, Master can slip into the Sword King's room and steal the sword with none the wiser. Talk about twisted words. Zhuo Fan had a cold smile having turned every pebble over in the manor. There was no one who knew the Flying Cloud manor better than him. This punk's nonsense is meant to incite me to go in and get me killed. I bet he sent fake info as well, making Shangguan Feiyun place a trap there. Too bad for you since I fiddled with the map from the start and reported a fake, humph. Chapter 901, Twisted Reality. Chapter 901, Twisted Reality. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh. On the half-a-meter wide table between Bailey Jingwei and Shangguan Feiyun were placed the finest drinks and dishes, adding to the enjoyment of the tranquil lake nearby. The two were relishing the view, the company, and the wine without a care. There was a sound and Bailey Jingwei held out his hand for a jade slip to land in it. Shangguan Feiyun's eyes flashed. Ha ha ha, already? I have to say, Sword King, your nephew is certainly a go-getter. Ha ha ha, Bailey Jingwei chuckled. Shangguan Feiyun waved him off, as if, it's more like that brother of mine is too rushed, or, like Prime Minister said, greedy. How else do you explain his hastily drawn-out plan? Their eyes met and burst out laughing with ridicule. Bailey Jingwei scanned the jade slip closely and nodded with a smile. Though something did catch his attention, so much so he was feeling suspicious. What is it, Prime Minister? What is the problem? Shangguan Feiyun will strike 3 days after we leave. Isn't that great? The trap is set and all that's left is for them to spring it. Prime Minister, is there something nagging you? Shangguan Feiyun looked curious at first, but dismissed his worries after he heard the info inside the jade slip. Bailey Jingwei's doubts remained. Shangguan Feiyun plans to raid the Jade Falls with his experts while the 3 strongest venerables will be going after your resting room to kill you. If all goes well, great, but if not, they will hold you back while the others steal the soaring sword. Humph, a mere pipe dream. Shangguan Feiyun disregarded his worry. They want to cut me off. Then I'll lay 2 traps, real experts in my room where I'll stay guard as well and send the rest of the men to Jade Falls, where Prime Minister will direct with Brother Danching's assistance. They can get in, but there's no leaving with 2 Sword Kings around, ha ha ha. Bailey Jingwei nodded, but his conscience wasn't eased. Be that as it may, something is strange here. Prime Minister, what is it now? Is something off? The plan is solid, only the details are weird. Bailey Jingwei's eyes flashed and passed the jade slip over. Sword King Feiyun, noticed the map Shangguan Yulin attached inside. Shangguan Feiyun was starting to be suspicious as well. I let that Grandmaster Gu make it, so what's there to see? It's not like I don't know my own home. 3 days later, the Shangguan clan will split in 2 before attacking. Shangguan Feiyun will lead his men to attack the easternmost area of the manor, Jade Falls, and steal the soaring sword. While the 3 venerables will ambush Sword King's room, the northernmost place. To kill and to stop the enemy so the clan head can succeed, Shangguan Feiyun was casual as he read, but then his eyes landed on the map. Jade Falls in the east. But it's in the west side. And then my room in the north is actually in the southeast. Just what is up with this map? Bailey Jingwei wore a mask of doubt. Shangguan Yulin supplied this map and, by all accounts, shouldn't be an attempt at cheating us. At least he was so blatantly obvious about it. He is oblivious to everything in the Flying Cloud manor, unlike us. The only logical explanation is that this is the same map he got from Shangguan Feixiong, this fake. The clan got a fake map. A fake. Shangguan Feiyun was baffled. How in hell is it fake? You're saying Grandmaster Ji Yu handed this fake to them? Why would he do that? Bailey Jingwei frowned, deep in thought. Logic says Ji Yu Yifan is relying on Shangguan clan, a crutch to lean on and ride their coattails to success. But he gave them a fake map, botching their plans and turning from their confidant to a traitor. He only gets to lose from it. Is he committed to becoming the Sword Star Empire's alchemist? Is that why he's breaking it off with the Shangguan clan? That's not right either, or he'd be throwing his lot with us by using the fake map to catch the clan in one fell swoop. Any betrayal should be done fully, not randomly, or he won't get anything out of it. The Shangguan clan had patched their lacking knowledge with the fake map, but they wouldn't lose that much because of it. And with the failure of the second ambush, they would no longer have any chance of attacking the manor, while the Shangguan clan would hate Ji Yu Yifan's guts, while on the manor's side, being in the dark to the source of this fake map, they couldn't give Grandmaster Ji Yu any credit for the results. He gets nothing from either side. So why? The Prime Minister Bailey Jingwei was having a headache as well with this conundrum, let alone Shangguan Feiyun. Bailey Jingwei finally shouted, "Who were the ones watching over Grandmaster Ji Yu in the manor? Call them here, now." "Yes, sir." Someone shouted, and soon 2 guards were before him, bowing. "Prime Minister, Sword King, how may we be of service? Are you 2 the ones who looked after Grandmaster Ji Yu during his stay at the manor? Per the Lord's order, we kept Grandmaster Ji Yu safe. Was anything off about Grandmaster Gu's actions?" Bailey Jingwei's eyes flashed, his words startling the guards as they replied, "Many things earned our suspicion. Like constantly asking about the path between Jade Falls and Sword King's home, about the restricted areas. Prime Minister and Lord might not know, but he also had us show him the way." "I get it. We already know about that, but is there anything else?" Shangguan Feiyun waved him off. "That's something I allowed so Ji Yu Yifan could finish his map." Bailey Jingwei's brow shook and jumped in. "Wait, you mean he constantly asked you?" "Why?" "Prime Minister, what's wrong about that? All spies will inquire. We've taken him everywhere through the manor, so why is he still asking others? And not just once either." Bailey Jingwei cut him off with a serious look. Shangguan Feiyun was stumped. "Yeah, now why is that?" "Afraid he won't be found out. We personally toured him around the place, so why?" "Maybe." Shangguan Feiyun glanced at Bailey Jingwei, who was fixed on the guards. One guard finally spoke. "Grandmaster Ji Yu is very suspicious. He kept saying he'll go to Jade Falls, but always ended up at the barracks saying the manor was too big every time." "All right, we get it. You may go." Bailey Jingwei dismissed them. The guards bowed and left puzzled. Bailey Jingwei chuckled. "Sword King, you get it now? Of course, the guy has a direction problem." Shangguan Feiyun's face twitched and sighed. Who'd have thought a great 11th grade alchemist ends up being directionally challenged? What makes it worse, he's a spy. Ha ha ha, well that's a first, using a guy with poor direction as a spy. Of course the map is all jumbled, not knowing which is north, south, east or west. I bet Shangguan Feiyun would have spurted blood feet high if he knew his map was drawn by a disoriented guy. Ha ha ha. Bailey Jingwei smiled. Nobody's perfect, being drafted by them. He acts like the terrible spy he is. Of course he's liable to slip up. Ha ha ha. Slip up. Such poor direction is worse than anyone's. Shangguan Feiyun mocked, but then frowned. Though are you sure he's directionally challenged? An 11th grade alchemist at that? Bailey Jingwei's brow shook, and paused. This is the only explanation for what I know so far. Consider him having poor direction. Then our plan. We stick to it. The only change is that we'll be following this fake map. Bailey Jingwei grinned. Even with the twisted reality thanks to the fake map, the Shangguan clan will be caught all the same. Ha ha ha. Shangguan Feiyun nodded. I thought of moving the soaring sword, just in case, but since the map is fake, there's no point. Chapter 902. Tea was the night before the ambush. Chapter 902. Tea was the night before the ambush. Proofreader. Papa Tonks. Dad, are they really dragging the fight elsewhere? In the pitch-black night, Only the moonlight was shining some light upon the world, giving it a chilling air. The many houses in the city had their own faint yellow candlelight. In hope of dispelling the coldness, Jiyu Santong lay in bed, eyes staring at Shuo Fan polishing his demonic sword under the lamplight with an evil grin. Shuo Fan replied, "Yep, Flying Cloud Manor's move hinges on Shangguan clan's attack. While Shangguan clan's moves are following the map I provided. By now, the same map should be back in the manor. Ha ha ha, this way both sides' actions are under my control. They'll fight wherever I want them to without a choice, humph." Zhuo Fan looked mighty pleased with his handiwork, confidence stemming from manipulating the whole board and its rules. "What will we be doing then?" Jiyu Santong muttered, "Could we help Shangguan clan after we set up the drawing array in the Jade Falls?" Zhuo Fan gave him a glance before fixating back on his precious demonic sword. "Who cares about them? We do our own thing and ignore the rest so as to not invite more trouble. Flying Cloud Manor now has 2 sword kings and a prime minister on top. The Shangguan clan stands no chance. I used Shangguan Yulin to send fake info and scatter their forces. That should be enough breather for the Shangguan clan. Though not like it'll be for long. When the experts waiting in Shangguan Feiyun's room realize the attack won't be coming, the trap stemming from the fake info I had Shangguan Yulin send will collapse. When the 2 sides converge, the Shangguan clan will fall, but it's not certain if they will get wiped out. But their annihilation will work in our favor, their dying struggle buying us time to set the array. Heh, at least they died for something." Zhuo Fan mocked, a tyrant lifting his sword above a mountain of skeletons, using the blood of all living things to write his own rise. Jiyu Santong sighed in silence. Zhuo Fan's hand paused from cleaning the demonic sword, picking up on Young San's mood. He no longer looked evil, now giving his son a bright smile. "I know you don't like hanging with these people and grew tired of this place. Anyway, these 3 days will go by fast, so just bear with it. Ha ha ha." Then according to Shangguan Feixiong's plan, the experts will attack while the juniors will leave. You'll slip away from them in the meantime to where we established. Don't forget the escape we set up before we got to Flying Cloud City, the Big Dipper flinging array. Hey. That means there's only the 2 of us surviving, walking all over their lives. Jiyu Santong muttered downcast. Shuo Fan didn't notice, too caught up in cleaning his great demonic sword and his dream of learning to use the sword. Knock tilde. Someone was at the door. Zhuo Fan paused from cleaning and asked, "Who is it?" "It's me." Zhuo Fan heard Shangguan Qingyang saying, "Mr. Jiyu, are you free? What's this chick up to at this hour?" Giving Jiyu Santong a puzzled look, Zhuo Fan knew he had to reply, "I'll be right there." Zhuo Fan gazed upon the frail figure as she stepped in. "What got you coming here so late? Is young Sanzi asleep?" Shangguan Qingyang was being awfully subtle. Zhuo Fan gave a casual answer, "Kids are in bed at this hour." "What do you? Come with me." Shangguan Qingyang cut him off by pulling his hand outside, in the back, then relaxed seeing no one around. "No one will disturb us here." "Disturb us?" Zhuo Fan watched the clear face reflected in the moonlight and rubbed his hands. "Miss Shangguan, first you made sure young Sanzi is asleep and now you invited me in this secluded area. Ha ha ha, I'm shocked by your forwardness. I know my charm and I am quite fascinating that some girls just can't keep away from me, but I'm a married man and have a child. I'm not that kind of guy. But since you insist, I guess The sudden attack had him crying out. He saw Shangguan Qingyang pinching his thigh and twisting hard. Zhuo Fan struggled out of her clutches. What was that all about? Why else if not for talking trash? Shangguan Qingyang huffed and glared. I asked for you for a good reason, but your mind is clearly in the gutter. The only reason you're still conscious is because you're married. Zhuo Fan ignored her tantrum. How noble of you, despite being in a clan that trains in dual cultivation to vent. Isn't uncle a married man too? It's because the Shangguan clan's men are like that, so I can't stand it. Shangguan Qingyang waved her angry fist around, though she put it away without using it. Fine, let's just forget it. But you must get your wife back. Focus only on that and don't do anything that might break her heart. Zhuo Fan shook, his face heavy. What's it to you? Nothing, it's what I hope. Shangguan Qingyang sighed. Tomorrow you're going with Bailey Jingwei to the imperial capital and we might never see each other again. But don't worry, I'll look after young Sanzi and do my best to find his mother so that all of you will be reunited. I just hope that once you achieve success, there won't be another woman. Zhuo Fan stared at her. What do you mean? Didn't Uncle want to take me to Eastern lands? Dad did promise you that, but now, haha. Shangguan Qingyang gave a wry smile. Everything's changed. Dad is the clan head and sometimes the clan's future comes first, at the detriment of being disloyal on occasions. If you were still the same Jiu Yifan that lent us your house to hide, Dad would have taken you. But Bailey Jingwei treated you as his most honored guest. And now, having helped the clan draw out their attack plan. So they. Words came hard to Shangguan Qingyang the longer she spoke, they decided to be practical. Practical? Favor you if alive or abandon you if dead. Shangguan Qingyang looked crushed as she continued, you know that Dad will attack 3 days after you and Bailey Jingwei leave. Regardless of the outcome, there's only 2 endings for you. Bailey Jingwei will find you out for giving us the map, executing you on the spot, or Bailey Jingwei will still see you in high regard and you will forever remain as Shangguan clan's spy in the central area. Didn't Uncle say they'll accept me after the ambush succeeded? Shangguan Qingyang shook her head with a bitter smile, with Bailey Jingwei, the Prime Minister, having so many experts at his side and dragon-cleaving sword king on top, after Dad gets soaring sword, they aren't about to risk it over the likes of you. Their plan is to use you. If you die, the Shangguan clan will be ever grateful, raising young Sanzi as their own. If you live, young Sanzi will become hostage and force you to work for Eastern lands. But don't worry, I will definitely get you back one day. Zhuo Fan squinted and nodded. Zhuo Fan's speculation reached this part as well and totally ignored it. He was just that confident since. We'll see who uses who. In a clash between big shots, there's no room for niceties nor kindness, only interest. That was how Bailey Jingwei was and the same applied to Shangguan Feiyun. So how could Shangguan Feixiong, known for his righteous character, be any lesser? It didn't change the fact they were still going to lose in this endeavor because they failed to even realize that there was another player having sneaked into their little game. Ignorance gets you killed. Zhuo Fan grinned and nodded. Thank you. No need for thanks, just be careful. If all goes well, I'll be sure to send young Sanzi to you, to help you two be reunited. Shangguan Qingyang spoke with resolve, then bid her goodbye. Zhuo Fan waited for her to leave. Young Sanzi, come out. The chick is gone. Whoosh tilde. Jiu Santong was by Zhuo Fan's side. In a flash of scarlet the chick spouted so much tripe. Zhuo Fan snickered, his eyes cold. I've never trusted one of them from the start. My life will always be in my hands. I won't ever give it to anyone else. Zhuo Fan walked back, patting young Sanzi's head. Come, young Sanzi, this doesn't change anything. Jiu Santong nodded but sometimes peeked behind. Auntie does care about him. Chapter 903, Blindsided. Chapter 903, Blindsided. Proofreader, Papatonks. Before the rooster could announce the coming of a new dawn, a group of men were packed and ready in front of the Flying Cloud Manor gate. All wore their finest, oozing nobility, yet just 30 of them were so excited they were bursting with joy and glee at their meteoric success. Such were the selected from the Pill King convention. Giving them a look of disdain, Bailey Jingwei sneered. Talents like these, and that was already overstating it, were only good as props for his plan. He'll just hand them over to the real alchemists as servants when they got to the imperial capital, imperial family's alchemist. Shangguan Feiyun's thoughts were the same, watching these delusional bums with equal scorn. A man and a woman were approaching this group with light steps. Bailey Jingwei cupped his hands and sported a vague smile. Grandmaster Jiu, have you settled your matters? May we set off? Thank you, Prime Minister, for your concern. Everything is in order. Zhuo Fan returned the gesture with a light bow before turning to Shangguan Qingyang and putting on a yearning face. I'll be gone for a long time in the imperial capital and I'd be grateful if cousin will look after young Sanzi. Shangguan Qingyang's expressive eyes were filled with complex emotions, but only nodded. Don't worry, I'm young Sanzi's aunt and will give my all to take care of him. I'll be sure to bring him to you personally and reduce the longing. Thank you. Zhuo Fan sighed and cupped his hands at Bailey Jingwei. Prime Minister, we can go. All is in order for Mr. as well. Then he shouted, set off. Yes, sir. The guards, over 100, made of Soul Harmony and Genesis stage experts, escorted the others in a grand fashion. Dragon-cleaving Sword King had a flat look at the side, while Sword King Feiyun cupped his hand and saw them off. Shangguan Qingyang watched them go, her worried eyes ever on Zhuofan. Shangguan Feiyun grinned and teased, Miss Gu, Grandmaster Gu will be part of the inner circle now, gaining a nobility rank and having anything he could ever want. There's no cause for worrying either, not with Danqing Shun and Prime Minister watching over. Everything will be fine, bar treason. You should be happy for him, ha ha ha. Shangguan Qingyan's lips fell in dismay, looking at him with a crooked smile worse than crying, only to sigh and leave the minute Prime Minister Bailey is out, seal the city and impose a curfew. The commanding voice echoed behind her, those thieves might have slipped away with the visit of Prime Minister, but I'd rather be on the safe side. Comb the city and root them out. I won't tolerate the Shangguan clan causing chaos in my flying cloud city. Shangguan Qingyang paused, her face hard as she rushed faster for the Jiyu household looking at her so eager to report. Shangguan Feiyun's eyes flashed, his smile particularly crafty. By Prime Minister's plan, we should ease their minds. No, we should incite their greed, ha ha ha. Minutes later, Shangguan Qingyang rushed into the parlor to see Shangguan Feixiong and his experts waiting for her news dad. Shangguan Qingyang flushed with anger. Shangguan Feiyun will place the city in lockdown and search it for our people once Bailey Jingwei left. He said that he only loosened his guard and gave us the chance to escape only because Bailey Jingwei happened to come. Shangguan Feixiong looked at the three venerables and his experts and saw their nods. It's as we thought. Bailey Jingwei came with the Crown Prince's matter in mind and not for us. With Shangguan Feiyun's prideful character, he'll never admit his manor was attacked, hiding it from Bailey Jingwei. He'd then resume the search once he leaves. Yes, that's Shangguan Feiyun's style, everything for appearances. That means Bailey Jingwei and Danqing Shun won't be a part of this plan, not when they are oblivious of it. Our enemy is only one, Shangguan Feiyun. Right. Great, now we don't have to face two Sword Kings. Everyone voiced their agreement with joy. A shout came as a man barged in and bowed, Clan head, Bailey Jingwei's procession is 50 miles out with no sign of turning back. They're almost out of sight and gone for good. They're also looking to be in a rush, with nothing flashy to denote Prime Minister is among them. That explains why Bailey Jingwei came to Flying Cloud City without notice. He's truly worried about the Crown Prince's situation. Shangguan Feixiong nodded, now all doubts have been lifted, knowing Bailey Jingwei has only been a guest here and nothing more. Now that they left, we don't need to bother with them. They all nodded, with the venerable's eyes shining as his voice rose. The Shangguan clan won't miss this chance providence laid before us. In 3 days, we strike. Yes, sir. They all cheered, as if victory was in sight. Only Shangguan Yulin, in his little dark corner, sported a creepy smile. While the Shangguan clan got fired up and ready for the big raid, Bailey Jingwei's group was now a day away when he stopped. Zhuofan faked obliviousness as he asked, Prime Minister, do you need rest? Ha ha ha, I may not be much of an expert, but I am an 8th layer ethereal stage cultivator. A day of walking isn't enough to tire me. Bailey Jingwei grinned. Zhuofan gave him a long look, then, return. Bailey Jingwei casually pointed at the Soul Harmony experts. You and you, are to escort the 30 alchemists to the Imperial capital. The rest of you will follow me back to Flying Cloud City. Zhuofan shuddered and showed a bright and clueless smile. Prime Minister, what do you mean? Ha ha ha, Grandmaster Gu, you'll know soon enough. Bailey Jingwei showed a vague smile and waved for 2 Soul Harmony experts to flank Zhuofan and grab his shoulders. Taking him away, Zhuofan started, Prime Minister Bailey, what are you doing? Taking Grandmaster Gu back to the city. But we just got a day away from Flying Cloud City and had those other alchemists escorted to the Imperial capital. I should go with them. If you have a pressing matter, you can return by yourself. Why take me as well? Paling and panicking, Zhuofan forced himself to sweat to make the act even more believable. Bailey Jingwei gave a mocking smile, taunting, Grandmaster Gu, I'm bringing you along to enjoy the show. A show? Quite. Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone. This act shall be known as blindsided. Zhuofan shook harder, overwhelmed. Bailey Jingwei signaled the guards to hold Zhuofan as they flew to Flying Cloud City. Prime Minister's many powerful guards were gone in a blink, gone back to the city in secret. All that remained were 3 soul harmony experts and the stumped alchemist looking at each other like a cow looking at a new gate. What just happened? Are you taking us to the imperial capital, to enjoy riches and live glorious lives? Why are there just 2 guards left and the others up and ran off? Do we mean so little? We're future imperial alchemists here. Step it up. As they were trying to make sense of it and failing, the soul harmony experts barked at them. The prideful alchemists were annoyed, with someone having the bright idea to voice his discontent. What's the rush? Don't you know I'm to be an imperial alchemist? Who the hell are you to order me? Bam! His ranting came to an abrupt stop, only a bloody mist remaining of his trace in this cruel world. A guard wiped his hand, glancing at the others with disdain. Prime Minister ordered us to escort you to the imperial capital, and kill any who refuse. That was the cruel truth. Bailey Jingwei never gave a hoot about them. All he cared about was not letting them flee, to plug any leak, though only for these 3 days. The alchemist watched the blood soak the earth with empty eyes, their minds out of commission. Weren't we imperial alchemists? How can a mere guard treat us like cattle? Just what jobs awaits us in the imperial capital anyway? They were wrecked with fear, doubt, and terror. They were sensible enough not to speak any more. The hope in their eyes now turned into despair. Chapter 904, Night Raid. Chapter 904, Night Raid. Proofreader, Papatonks. Grandmaster GU, you must find it strange why we're back out of the blue. Or you already know that but just want our confirmation. Ha ha ha. Back in Flying Cloud Manor, to the same smell, to the same hall, Shangguan Feiyun, Bailey Jingwei and Dan Qingshan had him surrounded with creepy smiles as a hidden big player himself. Zhuofan knew how to get into his role, playing dumb with a straight face and bright smile. Prime Minister, what are you saying? I don't get your words, ha ha ha. Don't get it, don't you? Ha ha, Grandmaster GU, you don't have to pretend any longer. We know everything there is to know about you. Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone. Grandmaster GU, since you just can't seem to understand, I'm sure the names Shangguan Yulin, Shangguan Feixiong and Shangguan Qingyang should ring some bells. Shuddering, Zhuofan tensed, his face paling. Bailey Jingwei stared right at him, his grin wide. Grandmaster GU, you're an alchemical gem and gaining success through the Swordstar Empire's court is easier than breathing. So why must you stand up for those kinds of people? Zhuofan lowered his head, like a condemned man waiting for his verdict. Bailey Jingwei patted his shoulder from behind, noticing the problem eating away at him. The act of being Shangguan clan's spy, in playing a role of destroying the foundation of my empire, would never make me waste so many words with any such criminal. Bailey Jingwei's grip tightened and Zhuofan winced with clenched teeth while adding a perfectly timed frantic image of himself. Bailey Jingwei smirked, immensely pleased at his reaction. Grandmaster GU isn't just any criminal, but a one-of-a-kind genius. It weighs heavy on my heart having you pay with your life along with those thieves. Bailey Jingwei looked heartbroken, his tone softening. The loss I feel isn't just mine, but the Empire's as well for losing such an outstanding alchemist. The pain I feel is only amplified if Grandmaster GU won't be able to reveal his talent to the world. Bailey Jingwei spoke lower and more saddened. The heartbroken state he was in would bring anyone to tears. If anyone else heard him right now, they'd be so moved they'd become sworn brothers. A shame this failed on Zhuofan, who didn't fall short in the subterfuge department as a fellow specialist himself. Zhuofan had to give him props for playing it right. Using psychology to threaten and coax, making it sound logical and sensible, there's no way Shangguan Yulin had any chance against such an assault, turning his back to his own family on the spot. Bailey Jingwei isn't called the wisest in the Empire for nothing. Though Zhuofan was no pushover either. Furthermore, he was never truly invested in his alchemist role, making this touching display feel flat. Though it was one thing to not feel it and another thing altogether to not show it. It was easy to tell in which situation he was in and he had to play his part. How nice of Bailey Jingwei to set the stage for him. Zhuofan teared up on cue, his face overwhelmed. Prime Minister, a wise man's words are invaluable. Prime Minister is my best friend. If only I had met Sir sooner. I wouldn't have. Zhuo Fan was taken by abject regret of the mistake he made joining the thieves and botching his future. Bailey Jingwei and Shangguan Feiyun shared a smile, with the first saying, "I've considered Grandmaster Ji Yu a friend the moment I saw you. Grandmaster Ji Yu has just strayed, holding no deep repercussions and offering the chance to come back on the straight and narrow. I promise you this, Grandmaster Mu, give your all to the Empire and I'll even be more than happy to give my position to you. Prime Minister, why you re just too good to me." Zhuo Fan was so touched he was choking, tears filling his eyes. Bailey Jingwei waved his hand, then, "Can Grandmaster Ji Yu tell me of their movements?" "Of course. Prime Minister has given me a new lease on life and the least I could do is return the favor." Unlike them, Zhuo Fan shook his head, his eyes shining with loss and hatred. Bailey Jingwei was puzzled, but soon came to understand once he heard his story. "Humph, fools who only throw away talent, that's what they are. And they talk about being pragmatic with Grandmaster's fate. Furthermore, they're even using your own son as a shield. How vile, how repulsive." "Right. I didn't know they were like that, treating me like family. Until Shangguan Qingyang told me everything 2 days ago. She's such a nice girl." Zhuo Fan sighed. Bailey Jingwei sparkled. "Grandmaster Ji Yu, we'll get every last one of them for sure and give you justice. You just go take some rest in your room and await the good news tomorrow. But my son, he won't be harmed." Zhuo Fan sighed, letting 2 guards escort him away. Shangguan Feiyun spoke out of earshot. "Prime Minister, did Grandmaster Ji Yu really switch sides? He wasn't close to them to begin with. Thanks to my smooth and enlightened words, he has surrendered to us." Bailey Jingwei spoke. "Most of what he told us fits with the report Shangguan Yulin gave us through the jade slip. The only discrepancy is the missing chat between him and Shangguan Qingyang, but that's normal. He has no business butting into a private chat. Shangguan Feixiong's pragmatic plan had to have been discussed with his high elders late in the night, making Shangguan Yulin unaware of it. Now that I believe." Shangguan Feiyun nodded. Shangguan Feixiong loves to play the nice guy, but that ends when his clan's future's at stake. All niceties are thrown away. "Humph, nothing but a rotten hypocrite." "Don't say that." Bailey Jingwei smiled. "It comes with the territory. Even Shangguan clan's clan head would sometimes place his clan first. I can sure understand it." "Ha ha ha," soared King Feiyun, "I find you rather biased about your brother." "Humph." Shangguan Feiyun huffed in anger. Bailey Jingwei smiled, his mouth quivering with a confident grin in Zhuo Fan's direction. "We finally got the alchemist Grandmaster to switch sides. I've yet to lose my touch, ha ha ha." Prime Minister Bailey. Dan Qingshun, who had been keeping silent while the 2 mighty actors played their role, finally spoke up. "Since we trust Grandmaster Ji Yu now, then the eyes that are on him." Bailey Jingwei cut him off with a flick of his hand. "One is reality and another is necessity. He has just switched to us, but even if we do believe him, the monitoring can't stop. It's only for a day anyway. I'd rather not have my plan fall to ruin from a simple slip-up." Shangguan Feiyun and Dan Qingshun shared a nod. Bailey Jingwei is meticulous and cautious. Despite the house arrest he was under, and the couple of soul harmony experts watching him outside his door, Zhuo Fan was sporting a weird smile, the plans moving along nicely. The next night, Shangguan Feixiong assembled his experts in the garden and looked at the bright moon, ordering, "Begin." "Yes, sir." The men saluted and faded into the night sky, closing in on their prey. The flying cloud manor. Shangguan Yulin looked at Shangguan Qingyang, smiling. "Yanga, they're off. When the manor turns to chaos, the security for the city entrances will slack. We'll use this chance to get out, go to the meeting place with Uncle. I'll take young Sanzi." Shangguan Qingyang nodded and left to find Jiyu Santong. Shangguan Yulin's face fell in annoyance. "Is he your kid? Why do you even care so much?" Shangguan Qingyang suddenly cried out and rushed over. "Oh no, something bad happened." "Yanga, what is it?" Shangguan Yulin asked. Shangguan Qingyang panted in panic. "Why, young Sanzi is gone. TCH, the brat is nothing but trouble. Where could he have run off to? Forget about him. Time waits for no one." Shangguan Yulin snaked. Shangguan Qingyang glared. "How can you talk like that? He's but a child who's now lonely and sad without his father. We can't just leave him. Did you forget how much his father helped us? To hell with his help. Come dawn, it won't matter, hey. Rolling his eyes, Shangguan Yulin smirked inside. Once the curtain fell on tonight, Bailey Jingwei promised him the Shangguan clan's top experts would be done and Jiyu Yifan would become a traitor hunted by the eastern lands, leaving him with no choice but to take asylum with the Prime Minister. And the juniors escaping from here would be led by him. To restore the Shangguan clan then, as a Central Area spy, he'd work with the Swordstar Empire to unify eastern lands. Shangguan Feiyun would become the leader and he would become Shangguan Feiyun's right hand, ruling over everyone else, ha ha ha. Oh no. Shangguan Yulin's fantasy was cut short by a cry. Young Sanzi must think his dad is at the manor, so he must be going there. I never told him his dad left and his dad didn't say goodbye, fearing he couldn't let go. I have to go to the manor and find him. Younger, uncle is attacking the manor, you can't go there. It's too dangerous. Shangguan Yulin grabbed her shoulder, shrugging his hand away. Shangguan Qingyang ran off, that's why I must go. Young Sanzi is just a child. Shangguan Qingyang was gone. Shangguan Yulin gnashed his teeth and followed. Their exchange was, however, under the watch of a red and cute figure behind a tree, looking on with guilt. Dad and I want to step on your bodies for our job, but you still went back to save me. Dad, I'm sure you won't step in even if Auntie is about to die. Then, Jiyu Santong faded into the night. Chapter 905, Sudden Breach. Chapter 905, Sudden Breach. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh tilde. Shadows made use of the night's dark cover to cross the moonlit clearings with ease and arrive before a grand manor. The plaque hanging above identified it as the Flying Cloud Manor. Patrols of Soul Harmony guards moved about, ensuring its safety. Shangguan Feisheng witnessed their shift changing, right in front of the manor gate with hardly any attention to their surroundings. Whoosh tilde. Hundreds of Shangguan clan experts, wearing black, struck, having readied themselves for this moment. The earth shook under the thunderous sound as the veritable army attacked as one with enough force to split mountains. The guards never knew what hit them, their voices robbed as the wave of power smashed into them. The guards' eyes grew bloodshot and then each of them started popping like overripe tomatoes, spreading blood and gore everywhere. 2 teams, 50 people, were dead in a few seconds. Shangguan clan's experts moved with purpose and speed, taking the smooth start as a good sign for what was to come. The men ignored the carnage and went deeper. Rumble tilde. The early power wave had shook the whole manor awake. In a quaint little room, sitting at his table, gently picking the rattling teacup, sipping from it and hiding a peculiar smile, the pale yellow light of a lone candle reflected off his bright visage, and the unmoving Soul Harmony experts behind him. In the hundreds. Prime Minister, they're here. A man holding the candle bowed with utter respect, unleashing his late Genesis stage power. Bailey Jingwei's face bloomed into a smile. Just wait for them to get closer, ha ha ha. The man nodded and withdrew. Bailey Jingwei snickered and drank his tea. His demeanor, the coldness of those eyes and the hard face made everyone's hearts shudder every time he placed the teacup down. The manor's under attack. Activate the array, protect the Sword King. As the earth shook, the manor shuddered with it while the guard captain issued frantic orders. The men nodded and executed their signs. It was not due to the ambush, but having gone through the same terror once before, the images were still burned into their eyes of the time the last attackers just came and went to the manor. What followed was Sword King Feiyun's wrath unleashed upon hundreds of Soul Harmony guards. It was so bad the real estate market experienced a collapse at the sudden influx of empty houses, the fall of many outstanding guard families scattering from ending up broke. A given people always said serving men in power came with its own danger, but working under a Sword King wasn't any easier either. Now it was their turn to be put to the test, with another raid. Talk about rotten luck, they could have come earlier or later, but no, they just had to pick tonight when I'm on duty to make sure I suffer for it. Is that it? What did I ever do to you? I don't even know you, so why me? All the guards were outraged at the attack, but equally helpless. They knew their luck had run out and blaming others wouldn't help anyone. They could only do their duty to the best of their ability, to stop these attackers where they stood. Tilde. As the guards finished with their gestures, a faint barrier came to life, covering the core of the manor and dividing it from the incoming thieves. The guards smiled. For once, we've done our job and they can't get in. The joy was short-lived as 3 elderlies appeared before them. Out of the blue, one's eyes shone, It's still a breeze getting in before the defensive array is truly activated. The three shared a look and smiled, making their own signs and attacking, their hands extended in a most peculiar stance, intertwined as their index fingers came out from each palm and unleashing devastating power. Three break the skies as one, soaring cloud. One saw. A savage blade sword wave rushed out, of such power that it felt like a god unleashed it. And all of it was sent at the helpless guards and the incomplete array. Boom! The array formed by 300 guards held all but for an instant, exploding into nothing. The force ravaged the area, crushing their hearts and blowing them away. The only lucky survivors were around 100 of the original 400 guards. These meager dozens of Genesis stage experts still suffered greatly at the attack. They looked shocked at the devastation. There was nothing around the manor for dozens of miles. All those gardens and trees, lakes and ponds, all gone as to where the sword wave struck, that went on for 50 kilometers. There was a clear endless line of utter nothingness left in its wake. The guards gasped in fear at these elders' power. Who the hell are they? They're in the Genesis stage as well, but how can their combined attack be so strong? Not even Sword King can take that. Figures populated the area as hundreds of Genesis stage experts went past the three elders and straight for them. The elders let them take the remaining guards, Genesis stage experts as well. The guards had been too damaged by that ferocious attack to put up any resistance to the rest of the Shangguan clan's strength. Their wails and cries echoed soon after, until silence was once again restored. Shangguan Feixiong grinned. While he lost 10 of his men, it was worth it since the enemy lost scores. The emphasis on this ambush was speed, evident by how fast they went through the entrance and the second line of defense. Even he found it astonishing how smooth it all went and smiled. At this rate we'll be in and out of Jade Falls with the soaring sword before Shangguan Feiyun even gets wind of us. Ha ha ha. Shangguan Feixiong spurred on. Let's push on. Yes, sir. The men nodded in excitement. Who could blame them when everything was a walk in the park so far? The odds looked mighty high for the whole team to finish the mission and come home in one piece, so the men pushed harder and faster, feeling like nothing could stand in their way. We're invincible. Wholly unaware this was merely an elaborate bait they fell for, its line reeling them into an inescapable net. Shangguan Qingyang reached the manor to see the Hell's Cape. The deafening silence was proof her father had been here in face of such destruction. How could a child survive it? The men might not lower themselves to harm him, but the shockwaves would still spell his end. Shangguan Qingyang frowned in deep worry. But her gaze was firm and her step quick as she went in. Younger, don't. Shangguan Yulin blocked her path, grabbing her shoulders and speaking with distress. Uncle is in there, fighting. Soul harmony experts are nothing, and even Genesis stage experts are sure to die. What can you do with an 8th layer ethereal stage cultivation? You're only going to die. Don't throw your life away. Shangguan Qingyang bit her lip. No, since I am in such danger that means young Sanzi must be having it worse. Who cares? He asked for it. He's a brat causing trouble. Shangguan Yulin spoke with hatred, but Shangguan Qingyang was unflinching. Younger, if not for yourself, then do it for Uncle. Uncle won't tarry in the Flying Cloud Manor any more than he needs to. Genesis stage experts can flee, and so can soul harmony experts. But not you, and you'll be holding them back. You'll only make it harder for Uncle and might even harm him. Can you live with that? Shangguan Qingyang hesitated, but her gaze was firm once more. I know, and that's why I won't let father find me. I'm only looking for young Sanzi and then I'll leave. If I die from this, then so be it. It's just one of the things an aunt must do. Shangguan Yulin pushed Shangguan Yulin away and shot into the manor. Shangguan Yulin sighed and followed, then a flash of red came as well, who was not far behind them. All that remained here was the ground covered in blood and limbs, a sign that this world was lawless. Chapter 906, Plot Within Plot. Chapter 906, Plot Within Plot. Proofreader, Papatonks. That shore is fast, passing the second defense line. In a quiet little room, an old man caressed his beard while listening in on the outside ruckus. A Genesis stage cultivator saluted. Dragon-cleaving Sword King, the thieves are quickly on their way here. They'll reach our line in 15 minutes. Shangguan clan. Danqing Shen's eyes shone coldly and he said, I have nothing against them, Yet here I am clashing with them. How frustrating. The guard merely listened. Dan Qingshun dismissed him by muttering, "Leave, since there's still time, let me enjoy the remaining minutes in silence." "Yes, Sword King, sir." The guard left, fading into the darkness. Around this room, just like Bailey Jingwei's, hundreds of experts lay in wait, ready to strike on the other side of the manor. Shangguan Feiyun set his forces for an ambush. Hearing the noise in the distance, he closed his eyes to focus on it, wearing a faint smile. Ha ha ha, by the sound of things, it's those three's tri-talent surging cloud art. There's no way the manor's barrier can hold them. Those three coots want to get my head quite fast. Think again. Shangguan Feiyun mocked, flicking his sleeve and sitting in his chair. I shall wait right here. We're all Shangguan clansmen, so let's see whose soaring sword art is better. Tonight we'll see who is the strongest, the three soaring cloud swords of Eastern lands or the best in Eastern lands. Shangguan Feiyun squinted, filled with battle lust, but no one would be joining him, neither the venerables nor Zhuo Fan, since Zhuo Fan used Shangguan Yulin to set up a different act, all to split the two sword kings and give him ample room to wiggle. With two sword kings joining hands, they'd make handling the three venerables of Eastern lands a walk in the park. The Shangguan clan could hardly fight back and would collapse then and there. How was Zhuo Fan supposed to play in these conditions? Since you're done with them, won't that make me next? Which made this subterfuge a stalling tactic. Zhuo Fan wanted it to stretch for as long as possible, which clearly worked by all appearances. Rumble tilde. The whole of the manor shook under the attacks. The table, chairs, and cupboards fell, smashing the chinaware on display in Zhuo Fan's room. Peacefully sitting on his bed meditating, Zhuo Fan sported a sudden grin as his eyes flashed open. That must be my cue, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan climbed out of bed and cracked the door open. Damn, did you hear that? Just what could make all that noise? Is there another break-in? That has to be it. The same thing happened last time, 2 months ago. Only this time, it sounds stronger. What about Sword King Feiyun? Should we go guard him? You know how those brothers ended up last time just for being moments slower. Don't worry about it. Sword King sir has it under control. It's fine. How do you know? Dumbass, Sword King said it himself in this morning's warning. No matter what happens, we're never to leave our post. You could practically feel the premeditation in his tone. Not to mention the manor is stuffed with elites in every shadow. They must have a special task for sure. You're saying Sword King knew that we'll be under attack tonight? Why didn't he notify the guards, strengthen them? Ever heard of baiting, dumbass? But our brothers at the gate died for nothing, yes. The two guards discussed the ruckus reaching them and sighed at the implications. Nobody's like us look haughty posing as the manor's guards once making our rounds, when in fact we're all just our lord's pawns to throw away at a whim. Let's say Sword King did give us the order to go die, would you refuse? Humph, dying under Sword King's order will mean going down with honors. Your family will be compensated, their safety assured. But if you cling to life too much, humph, you saw yourself how those brothers 2 months ago ended up, how their families are in ruins. It's not as simple as just you dying. Now which of the two endings do you find more worthy? Shuddering, the other guard grimaced and shook his head. Now he held a bit of joy in his tone. I suddenly find the crappy detail of babysitting a radiant stage alchemist to be quite nice. At least I get to keep my life, ha ha ha. The first guard nodded and grinned, though something sad hid behind his smile. That might work now, but what about next time? Ahem, Lord's matters are of no concern to us. Now stop the chatter. A third guard made his presence known as he walked over to berate them. A loose tongue will only bring trouble. If you plan on living for years to come, learn how to keep your mouth closed. The two guards shook and nodded. The third guard returned the nod and the mood eased. Creak tilde. The door slowly opened and Zhuo Fan stepped out with a peculiar smile. The three guards looked oddly at him. What's Grandmaster Jiyu doing showing his face now of all times? A guard blocked him. Grandmaster Jiyu, what do you need that requires you to leave the room? Ha ha ha, nothing much, I just heard the noise and wanted a closer look. Grandmaster Jiyu, it's dangerous out there. Please go back inside. We'll keep you safe. The guard refused. Zhuo Fan smirked. And if I insist? The guards were puzzled, his clearly toying around. But why? The only reason they treated a fifth-layer radiant stage cultivator with such respect was due to Bailey Jingwei's courteous attitude around him, so they ignored Zhuofan's posing, showing a look of ridicule. Grandmaster Ji, please don't make it any harder than it has to be. Our job is to keep you safe and, if the situation demands it, restrain you. It's all for your own good. It's too dangerous out there, so please go back inside. Don't make us use force. A guard replied respectfully but firmly. Zhuofan chuckled, with a hint of evil inside it that gave them the chills. What's with that laughter? You were saying earlier that the most worthy death is that done for the manor. The trio were stunned. Where's he going with this? Let me fulfill your wish. I sincerely hope your families have good fortunes from your passing. Zhuofan ignored the baffled guards, sighing, though I find such a death cowardly. Is that what a cultivator that defies the heavens should choose? Whoosh tilde. A shadow extended from Zhuofan's feet that swallowed the guards in a blink. Darkness was the only thing that was present in this world. Domain soul? One of the guards shouted, Grandmaster Ji, enough games. Take the domain down or we'll have no choice but to get serious. Won't the Lord make us account for you getting hurt? Account for? Ha ha ha, you're overthinking things. There's nothing you can explain, ever. Since the only place you'll be accounted for is right here, right now. The distorted mocking voice raised the guard's hackles. Damn brat, learn when to quit. We don't want to hurt you. Why all the damn theatrics? But since it came to this, a guard shouted, Grandmaster Ji, you asked for it, so don't blame me for hurting you. He made a fist and punched at the abyss, only to find himself unable to follow through his move. Paralyzed, the trio cried out, what's happening? I can't move. Ha ha ha, I guess I forgot to tell you that my domain is a twin domain, unlike any ethereal stage cultivators. The two intersect and amplify their strength to hold even soul harmony experts like you from ever escaping. Zhuofan's eerie voice came again, though freeing yourself is far easier. The darkness crept up their bodies and seeped into their very flesh, gorging on their strength. The trio wailed in terror. Consumed alive by the darkness, they turned into dark statues as the blackness faded to give way to the moonlight. Zhuofan was the only one present, a look at the sky and an ear on the ever-increasing clamor. Zhuofan smirked as he shot for Jade Falls. My turn. Chapter 907, Dreadful Sword. Chapter 907, Dreadful Sword. Proofreader. Papatonks. Whoosh tilde. Hundreds of men in black landed in a wide space, with the moon hanging overhead. Before them were a row of buildings, though not the watery paradise they all were aiming for. Clan head, this place isn't right. It's not what it says on the map. One man looked around before going to Shangguan Feixiong to express his doubts. Shangguan Feixiong frowned, his face unnatural. He was getting a really bad feeling. There were some heavy sounds that cut off his thoughts. The black rows of houses all were filled with candlelight, and an age voice sounded, Shangguan clan head, it's been ages. Have you been well? Shangguan Feixiong shuddered at the familiar voice. His face grew hard as he stepped back in terror. The rest were shocked at seeing their calm clan head out of his element. Just who is in there? Creak tilde. An old man slowly stepped out of a lit house. With him came hundreds of Genesis and soul harmony experts, all releasing their power and bloodthirst. Former best in Western lands, now dragon-cleaving sword king of Central Area, Dan Qingshan. Why you didn't leave? Eyes shaking, Shangguan Feixiong gnashed his teeth, his suspicions confirmed, yet his heart sank. Trap. 3 days ago, their scouts watched Dan Qingshan and Bailey Jingwei leave. Yet here he was now. It was all just a cover Bailey Jingwei set up. Making a show of leaving and then returning to kill them. Everything was fake, so would take the bait. Dan Qingshan's mere presence confirmed Bailey Jingwei was the one running the show. He was in the worst danger possible, far beyond just fighting 2 sword kings, but also being snared by Bailey Jingwei's trap. It just didn't get much worse than this. Shangguan Feixiong was soaked in sweat, his eyes frantic as panic and despair set in on his face. Dan Qingshan easily read his mood, sighing, Shangguan clan head, I have nothing against you, but as we stand on opposite camps, I'll have to offend you. Retreat! Shangguan Feixiong shouted in anger, his eyes bloodshot. He was wrecked with regret, over his lapse in judgment, over his carelessness in getting his clansmen into this danger. If they were all to perish here, Shangguan clan would be threatened, eastern lands would be threatened, and he would become his homeland's stigma. Shangguan Feixiong's guilt was so deep his eyes looked dead. He would not hesitate to give his own life if it could save everyone else out of this disaster. His men were startled at first, but then realized from Shangguan Feixiong's ashen face that they had been trapped. They trusted their clan head's decision and withdrew at once from where they came. Dan Qingshan shook his head. Sorry, but my position demands me to stop you. You're never going to leave this place. Dan Qingshan hacked with 2 fingers. A draconic roar echoed as the world changed. An outrageous flood of sword energy came, turning into dragons and converging into a half-kilometer-long draconic sword with the howls of dragons sounding in the background. The gigantic swords might spread terror into its quarry. It felt like it could split the world in 2. Every man there gasped, feeling for the first time a power like no other, robbing their courage and draining their resistance. It was akin to the 3 venerables' combined attack, just that it came from one man and was on a much more insane scale. Is this the power of the central area's 9 sword kings? The people watching the gargantuan sword hanging overhead were overwhelmed with fear. Shangguan Feixiong watched their shocked faces, the terror in their eyes, and roared, "Don't stand there. Wake up and flee." "Ah, right." Startling awake, the men gave Dan Qingshan one last look of fear, then fled with all they had, even as their backs were ice-cold. "I never wanted to harm anyone. But it'll be up to your luck." Dan Qingshan sighed and his hand shone as he hacked. The grand sword descended upon the earth like a cataclysmic meteor, its pressure robbing the men of breath and the ground of stability, making it crack and pieces beginning to actually float. While the true targets, the men that wanted to follow their clan head in fleeing, found themselves under a mountain, sinking into the earth and unable to budge an inch. Panic dominated their hearts, all stemming from the obscene power such a skill could unleash. From looking death in the face, this strike would kill most of them and put an end to their mission, all in one move. Dragon-cleaving Sword King's power is terrifying. Fear had reached a breaking point in their minds, now giving way to despair. Shangguan Feixiong gnashed his teeth in defiance, cursing the sword as it came for them. He drew his fingers and made a circle, unleashing a scarlet sword wave, filling the air with life and smashing into the huge sword. Dan Qingshan, enough of your contempt. I may not be the best in Eastern lands, but I've earned my name through the years learning the soaring sword art from the soaring sword. Great, I can't wait to spar with a fellow insightful cultivator in divine weapons, ha ha ha. Dan Qingshan chuckled at the challenge. Bam! The 2 sword attacks smashed into each other, unleashing a violent pressure and blinding light. Only Dan Qingshan still walked with ease, his fingers pointing out casually, while Shangguan Feixiong bled from everywhere and fought to just stand upright. Dan Qingshan sighed. Shangguan Feixiong, you're a clan head but haven't grasped even a third of Soaring Sword's nature. If it were your brother, this clash would have ended in a draw. A shame you have yet to catch up to him, or maybe you never will. Insight is beyond our grasp. Dan Qingshan felt regret as he shook his finger. Bam! Shangguan Feixiong's soaring sword wave was crushed and the huge sword continued its descent. Shangguan Feixiong spat thick blood, his eyes filled with guilt and regret. He knew Shangguan Feiyun was better than him, and he only got to lead the clan because the elders wished it. Now, with his clansmen about to be slaughtered, he was weak to stop it. This feeling of futility broke his soul and filled him with shame. As a clan head, Feiyun was right, the strong are kings. If I had stepped down from my seat, he wouldn't have betrayed us and the Shangguan clan wouldn't be in such a crisis. It's all my fault. Lamenting his decisions, Shangguan Feixiong closed his eyes and awaited his death. Clan head. His men watched Shangguan Feixiong collapse and cried out. All their struggle to go to him was rendered futile by the sword's power. Dan Qingshan's sword was about to end them as the clansmen shouted for their head, for his name. Whoosh! But then, a bright green glow shot from afar, like a shooting star cutting the night air, and smashing into the sword. Bam! A deafening ringing sounded, but with a totally different outcome than before. The dreaded sword of a sword king had been stopped. Chapter 908, No Escape. Chapter 908, No Escape. Proofreader, Papatonks. Who tilde. The 2 gaudy sword waves clashed in the air for a moment before cancelling each other out. But the storm of power they unleashed threatened to send everyone flying. Even Soul Harmony stage and Genesis stage experts felt they could take off any second, let alone the lavish buildings around. now turned to rubble for 50 kilometers. There was nothing but sand once the storm faded and the winds eased. The people saw 3 elders standing next to Shangguan Feixiong. They were helping him to his feet, using Yuan Qi to speed his recovery. Their cold eyes, however, were always on Dan Qingxun. Cautious Dan Qingxun smiled and cupped his hands. The 3 greatest guardians of eastern lands, I presume, Shangguan clan's strongest venerables, 3 cloud swords. You give me much honor seeing me. My masters have spoken many times of you, that you were equally renowned. Today I see how true that was. Humph, exalted double dragons sure picked a fine disciple. The elders looked at Dan Qingxun with satire. In the end, those 2 old guys are the heads of Western lands, part of the 4 Lands Alliance to resist the Central Area's incursion. Isn't it ironic how their disciple ends up Sword Star Empire's lapdog? The elders mocked and the other people held him in equal disdain, despite the fresh show of power. Dan Qingxun, though, let it go over him, nodding, seniors are most right. I did shame my masters and become invincible Sword's lapdog. Though with so many people out there, who's to say there aren't clans with a couple of black sheep? At least I am only Double Dragon Mana's disciple, while the lord of this humble abode is the grand successor to the Shangguan clan, yet doesn't he wallow in the same filth as I? Didn't he become a lapdog too? Ha ha ha. Why you? The venerables were red with anger, wanting to retort, Dan Qingxun is a traitor, but only to his exalted double dragon masters. They aren't kin. Every group had their own disgrace, but Shangguan Feiyun to Shangguan clan was the second young master, with the noblest blood in eastern lands flowing through his veins, revered and admired. With someone like him turning traitor, you have the nerve to point fingers at me? The elders choked on the humiliation. They should have known better than to speak up. Their image wasn't clean, yet they started pointing out another's. What a disgrace, being talked back and unable to refute. Shangguan clansmen shook at Dan Qingxun's attack and lowered their heads. Shangguan Feixiong spat blood again, feeling much better. Yet he didn't try to continue recovering and grabbed the venerable's hands. We've been duped and must flee at once or we'll all die. I know, Feixiong, don't worry. You have us. A venerable shouted, men, protect the clan head as you retreat. We'll cut them off. Yes, sir. Some men grabbed Shangguan Feixiong's arms and fled. Dan Qingxun turned cold and waved, after them. The men behind him released their bloodthirst. Yes, Sword King, don't even think about touching our clan head. The venerables shot forth, their mighty auras locking the pursuers in place. Dan Qingxun's eyes shone and stepped in as well, releasing his own power to counter theirs. Seniors, I'll keep you company. Then we'll get rid of the exalted's shame for them. The 3 joined hands and sword energy exploded straight for Dan Qingxun's head. He wasn't one to sit still. As draconic roars sounded and a sword wave swept the sky, the 4 tangled up in an ongoing brutal fight. Sharp sword waves, killing moves all, littered the now dazzling sky. Each clash warped the space around them, threatening to cave in on itself. None of the guards even entertained the thought of getting near, not with that hell's how going on. Dan Qingxun's Soul Harmony and Genesis stage experts were even more wary, winding around their fight before going after the Shangguan clan. The enemy's coming. 100 Genesis stage experts stay behind to hold them while the rest protects clan heads retreat. One high clansman shouted, seeing the pursuit closing in. The others nodded and broke off from Shangguan Feixiong. The pursuers were no freaks like the 9 Sword Kings, while Shangguan clan's men were all elites. They would have no trouble dealing with them. The retreating party experienced an odd feeling as they went on. One second they were seeing the Black Knight and the next they were back to the ruined manor. This was no defensive array, it was actually directed inward, turning it into a trap. With them in it, we're stuck here. Break it so we can flee. Shangguan Feixiong panicked and ordered the hundreds of men worked, unleashing their all-out attacks on the barrier. While the banging felt constant on the ears, there was not even a sign it had the expected effect. They were all overwhelmed by the barrier's strength. Unlike the first one they passed through to get in, the 3 venerables fighting Dan Qingxun noticed this and became restless. When they finally got a breather from the fight, they unleashed a hurried sword wave at the barrier as well. Boom. This time, the sound was definitely much louder and the barrier shook all over. But that was it, soon settling back to normal. It was now the venerables' turn to be shocked. What the hell is this? How can a barrier be so strong? Whoosh. A bright and colored sword wave appeared then, Slashing a venerable's shoulder and forcing him to spew blood. Danqing Shen eased his fingers and spoke, "I thought you're fighting me, yet you have the luxury to mind something else." The venerables gnashed their teeth in hatred. Danqing Shen is too damn strong, just like Shangguan Feiyun. They had a mere faint lapse in focus when they tried helping the Shangguan clan with the barrier, but it was enough for him to capitalize on it in a battle of experts. It could all end in seconds. This only goes double for fighters of Danqing Shen's level. They knew that the next time they let their mind wander from the fight, the best in Western lands was going to be their end. Their moods were heavy, no longer looking relaxed around Danqing Shen. "Sorry, Feixiong. We got our work cut out for us dealing with dragon-cleaving Sword King. We can't help you. You're on your own." The trio ignored all else and focused on Danqing Shen, pouring their every bit of energy on fighting a Sword King. Danqing Shen met them halfway. Shangguan Feixiong's group kept attacking the barrier with little use. It was hard as a mountain, not even shaking like it did when the venerables attacked. This proved they were just too weak to make a dent in it. They were now stuck here, with no way to retreat. They had to think of another way fast if they wanted to survive. Shangguan Feixiong was sweating, his eyes bloodshot. "Ha ha ha, don't bother. There's no escape for you." In their great crisis, their danger only mounted as hundreds of men appeared out of nowhere, led by a youth, cutting off their retreat. Bailey Jingwei mocked, "Shangguan clan head, save your energy. I had brought 10 of the best 11th grade array masters from the imperial capital, spending half a month and sacred stones to set up this 11th grade array, Bound Heaven array. It compares to a 12th grade array in hardness, taking no less than 10 attacks of a Sword King. That means all your venerables have to do is just strike it 10 times and it will break. Though, by the looks of it, they have their hands tied with dragon-cleaving Sword King, so no chance there. I'm willing to bet they'll breathe their last on the third attempt if they were ever foolish enough to try. Ha ha ha. You have no way of getting out of here alive." Bailey Jingwei was like a judge from hell, proclaiming Shangguan clan's fate and robbing them of any hope. Chapter 909, Seal. Chapter 909, Seal. Proofreader, Papatonks. Bailey Jingwei. Shangguan Feixiong's eyes shook, howling curses like a mad beast consumed with hatred. As he looked from Danqing Shen and the 3 venerables to his clansmen, Shangguan Feixiong's energy left him. Regarding Bailey Jingwei and his hundreds of guards in the deadlock that he was with the enemy, having lost numerical advantage as well, he knew defeat was certain, the only option. Shangguan Feixiong's eyes flashed and shouted as he led the charge with his broken body, "Get the head. Capture Bailey Jingwei and we may survive." Roar. The men grew spirited and followed their clan head into battle. Russell Tilda. As the Shangguan clan got filled with valor and approached, Bailey Jingwei remained utterly calm around his Genesis stage expert guards. In fact, he didn't even register them. Ha ha ha. Get the head, is it? Not a bad idea. But can you do it? Bailey Jingwei smirked, fearless in front of their ruthless charge. He felt in complete control, merely shrugging as he said, "Attack." "Yes, sir." His guards went to meet the charge, leaving 30 behind. The 2 forces howled at the top of their lungs, to hide their fear, to spur themselves on, all for survival or for orders. In this barrier, the battlefield was split in 3 areas. Danqing Shen fighting Shangguan clan's 3 venerables, the 100 experts of Shangguan clan against the pursuers behind, and Shangguan Feixiong leading his men to catch Bailey Jingwei through the latter's guards. Though one recurring theme to all these locations was the Hell's Cape that was painted with every drop of blood and loss of life, Shangguan clan found its force split in 3, the worst situation one could have on the field of battle and a result of Bailey Jingwei's plan. The highest danger came when being flanked. The only chance of survival lay with Shangguan Feixiong, and if he could grab Bailey Jingwei, a pity that chance was nil. Ignoring the fact they were fighting more and better guards than them, even if they reached him, there were still 30 guards keeping him safe. Regardless of how one looked, everything was pointless. But it was human nature to seek survival, to seek for a way out where there was none. This led to Shangguan clan's obsession. 2 guards presented from nowhere an imperial tutor chair and a square table carved from a pear tree before Bailey Jingwei, along with tea. Bailey Jingwei quietly sat down, sipping his tea and watching the bloody act live, with the howls and wails reaching his unfiltered ears. None of which managed to even make him twitch. Shangguan clan's strong are dealt with like this, and their position in eastern lands is shaky. Eastern Land's days are numbered. Only. Bailey Jingwei frowned, surveying the lively battlefield with unease. Where's this feeling coming from? And why? Everything's going like clockwork, so why do I feel like I'm missing something? Bailey Jingwei frowned. His demeanor exuded calm, covering the inner turmoil. He didn't know the cause of this had never happened before in his long career of schemes. Near the Jade Falls, 10 Soul Harmony stage guards were on their patrol. When the sounds of battle reached them, they rejoiced, fortunate to be stuck as night guards and able to keep their lives sometimes. Danger would come knocking instead. Whoosh. Something black landed in front of them, startling them into shouting, "Who's there?" "It's me." Panting, Zhuo Fan revealed his frantic face in the moonlight. The men reacted in shock. "Grandmaster Jiyu? What are you doing here?" "There are not enough men, so I'm passing Sword King's order." Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and pointed in the direction of the battle, saying with scorn, "Can you hear that? The thieves are much stronger than anticipated, and Sir Sword King has ordered all of you to help." An. Zhuo Fan's eyes darted around while urging them to go. The men were skeptical. "There are many other Genesis experts around, so why come to us, Soul Harmony experts? What can we even do?" "That's why I came to you, to give you the Lord's secret order." Zhuo Fan grew more nervous as he said, "With the enemy's great force, Sword King wants to limit the casualties and outsmart them. What are you afraid of?" Doubt still lingered in their eyes. The manor hasn't run out of men, so why send a new alchemist to pass orders? But from Zhuo Fan's frantic look and radiant stage cultivation, they could understand it and let their guard down. What else could this pipsqueak do than be an errand boy? What if they failed Sword King's big plan? Let's at least wait after we heard the message. The 10 men went over to Zhuo Fan. "Yes, now hurry up, we can't have anyone listening on Lord's secret order." Zhuo Fan called them over constantly, but his mouth curved into a devious smile as the 10 guards reached him, waiting for the message. What they heard instead was a creepy tone. "Sword King's order is for all of you to die." Whoosh tilde. In a flash of black, Zhuo Fan made a full circle around them. They watched in shock as their bodies twitched once and folded. They fell backwards, yet saw their legs still standing straight. Zhuo Fan's black sword was gone before they could see it. Walking away, all that remained were a pair of legs, frozen in time. "Now I can seal the whirlwind tunnel with none the wiser." Looking at the wonder of waterfalls in front of him, Zhuo Fan's eyes shone with success. Clang. A scarlet blade flashed again, coming to take Zhuo Fan's life. Zhuo Fan was amazed. For God's sake, that damn Shangguan Feiyun New Shangguan clan is after the soaring sword, so why the hell didn't he move it? Is he that bored, wanting someone to just take it? Or is he that confident in Bailey Jingwei's plan that there's no point? Sighing, Zhuo Fan shook his head and his right eye flashed in 7 golden halos. The murderous sword suddenly shook in midair, halting in place. It even looked scared. Grinning, Zhuo Fan said, "I'm not here for you, but it'll be a pain if you mess things up midway. I'd better get rid of you first." 6th grade sacred weapon, soaring sword. Tilde. As his evil tone fell, the space around him shook and warped in the sword's direction. The mighty pressure made the haughty sacred weapon give up its plan and flee back to its lair, behind the water. Shit, how did it know that? Wasn't it some basic animal? How? Soaring sword's core crumbled just then, having lost its scarlet edge and sharpness. Even so, Zhuo Fan was not about to stop there. Who knew what that thing would be planning later? Divine Eye of the Void's 7th stage, Void Seal. Zhuo Fan's right eye shone with 7 golden halos. The space slowly solidified as it put pressure around the soaring sword. It was forced to be stuck in place once more, only able to shake all over and hum as if to plead. Zhuo Fan showed no quarter, amping the pressure some more and placing it all on the soaring sword. The sword stopped moving and fell to the ground lifeless. A 6th grade sacred weapon, the divine sword of Eastern Lands, had its spirit sealed, losing its power. Chapter 9-10. Just What's Happening? Chapter 9-10. Just What's Happening? Proofreader. Papatonks. Walking over to the divine sword and picking it up, Zhuo Fan traced the scarlet blade with a smile before he placed it in his ring. The divine sword was now dead inside and lacked the power of a sacred weapon. He only had to look and use Divine Eye of the Void 7th stage Void Seal, and the sword spirit ended up sealed in space. It was one of the few skills within Heavenly Sovereign's 12 stages art that could trap someone. And that was forever. In a different space pocket, Shuo Fan reckoned, the 5 great sacred beasts fell victim to this skill and endured torture in the mortal domain. Zhuo Fan's own divine eye of the void 7th stage had just been achieved. Sealing spiritual beasts was hard enough, let alone sacred beasts. Thus sealing the ignorant sword spirit was much easier. He'd reach omnipotence only by getting to Heavenly Sovereign's cultivation. Zhuo Fan was looking forward to it. The more he gleaned into the divine eye of the void, the more realized there was no limit to Heavenly Sovereign. Such an ultimate skill had to have taken millions of years, so how could he, a mere copycat junior, be a match in any way? Zhuo Fan took a deep breath, sighing at the depressing thought. He had to figure out a way out of this deadly situation, if he wanted to get rid of his loneliness, and that only started mattering recently. Zhuo Fan shook his head of all these bad thoughts, looking up with confidence once more as he stepped for the waterfall's whoosh tilde. The roar of water falling from ungodly heights sounded as constant explosions with each step closer. Yet the magnificence of this world wonder was lost on Zhuo Fan, who checked the moon and stars for his direction, the Big Dipper. So here. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed, looking at the shining 7 stars arranged across the night sky as he searched their matching location here on the ground. He flicked his hand and sacred stones flew out into the earth. Minutes later, Zhuo Fan took a deep breath, having done the hard part. With this, a fallback is in place. So even if they do find out something is off here by chance, I can escape. Ha ha ha, hardly any in mortal domain know much about star arrays, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan now turned to the water park, his face hard. It's time to seal this place. Whoosh tilde. Zhuo Fan hovered under the moonlight, sending sacred stones down like rain. In the next hours, the situation shifted all over the manor. The roars, howls and wails on the blood-streaked ground were proof the men had gone insane. Seeing nothing but red jade falls was silent by contrast. All the guards had been mobilized against Shangguan clan, leaving but 10 to watch this place. Though hardly a challenge for a man of Zhuo Fan's caliber to dispose of. It was exactly how he wanted it, peace and quiet, so he'd finish his own plan, throwing more sacred stones than a shopping addict in a dark little room. Shangguan Feiyun was hearing the commotion as he patiently waited like a fool. His men, part of the ambush, were quite bored, but had no choice in the matter. They've been at it for an hour now. Why isn't anyone coming here as well? If they don't show, I'll go there to fight myself. Curses, was that Shangguan Yulin's info right or not? Young Sanzi tilde. A bright voice echoed around the water garden, carrying her eagerness and worry as she tried to keep her tone low as possible while also searching for someone. Zhuo Fan shook and his hands paused, his mood affected. What's this lass doing here? I thought Shangguan clan had you all kids run off. Zhuo Fan went back to work, his face back to normal, if not colder. Not my problem. Since you hate freedom so much, hell's doors are wide open for you. You clearly have a death wish coming here. What an annoying chick. Young Sanzi tilde. Her voice drew closer, right up to the roaring waterfalls. Following her was a man. Cousin, not so loud or the guards will catch us. I know, cousin. Shangguan Qingyang was tense as she kept calling out, young Sanzi, young. Shangguan Qingyang noticed Zhuo Fan in midair spraying sacred stones for his array, and the situation stunned her. Shangguan Yulin started as well. He knew Zhuo Fan was in the manor, but what was he doing here exactly? Zhuo Fan only spared them a look, deigning it not worthy to stop his project for them. Sir Gu? Shangguan Qingyang stammered, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at the imperial capital with Bailey Jingwei? Zhuo Fan did not respond. Hey punk, my cousin asked you a question. What's going on here? Shangguan Yulin was overjoyed, using this chance to paint this guy the scapegoat for this disaster in his mind. Since Zhuo Fan had been seen as a spy and wasn't dead, that meant he betrayed them as well. It was only natural since the great young master of Shangguan clan could. Some thick yokel couldn't be faring any better, him having more integrity than me. Like that's gonna happen. Humph, I'll have you know I received a much higher education. Shangguan Yulin still couldn't get rid of his young master airs, his mind stuck with hopeless fantasies. Zhuo Fan mocked and toyed. Cousin, you're saying you don't know? How should I know? Shangguan Yulin tensed. Does he know everything? Did Bailey Jingwei tell him? How could Bailey Jingwei just expose someone as important as me? I may be a spy, but I'm also a hidden ace. How's a prime minister so sloppy? Zhuo Fan eyed him and mocked him while his hands did all the work. Ha ha ha, cousin, you're so rotten no one could surpass you, nor ever will. The term degenerate demon is practically made for you. What dash, how do you know that? Shangguan Yulin panicked, only that sicko, wait. Zhuo Fan turned to Shangguan Qingyang, if you value your life, walk away. If you want to know everything, you're welcome to stay, but so will your life. Just what's happening? What are you talking about? Shangguan Qingyang shook as she watched Zhuo Fan's evil smirk with doubt. Zhuo Fan had dispensed with his usual childish act and was now showing deep and mysterious eyes. She had never seen eyes like these, but she had been warned by her elders to get as far away from them. They were toxic and undecipherable while always at danger of being killed. Zhuo Fan gave her that feeling, a man shrouded in secrets, while Shangguan Yulin's tense face was painting a different picture. Cousin, what's going on? How should I know? Don't listen to his nonsense. Shangguan Yulin evaded and glared at Zhuo Fan with bloodthirst. Just how many secrets does this punk know? I have to silence him for good either way and stop him from running his mouth and ruining my return to Eastern lands. Shangguan Yulin shot straight for Zhuo Fan, bent on snuffing him out. Though not forgetting about making Zhuo Fan the fall guy for everything under the sun. Jiyu Yifan, you sold the Shangguan clan. That's why you're back. I'm going to make you pay. Cousin, wait. We're not sure if, Shangguan Qingyang cried, but Shangguan Yulin had no intention of listening. Shangguan Yulin was right next to Zhuo Fan now, unleashing his full power as a soul harmony stage cultivator as he brought down his savage fist on his prey's head. All Shangguan Qingyang did was to tense up and look in worry. She hated herself for wasting time instead of focusing on cultivation. A mere 8th layer ethereal stage cultivation was nowhere close enough to stop a soul harmony expert's blow. Let alone catch him. Zhuo Fan was about to bite the dust and Shangguan Qingyang began crying, unable to do anything but shout, "Don't, cousin, Mr. Gu, look out." Zhuo Fan's arms never slowed in setting up an array, despite death looming over him. Shangguan Yulin's face was twisted as his punches came for his head, speaking evilly for his ears alone. Punk, I've wanted to do this ages ago. I finally got the chance, so die. Zhuo Fan's flat look and unresponsive attitude exuded complete disregard. Only as the last sacred stone left his hand did he sigh, done at last. What? Shangguan Yulin was stumped. Giving him a cold look, Zhuo Fan turned to the fist coming for his face. I told you not to goddamn bother me. Bam! Shangguan Yulin slammed into the ground in a cloud of dust. As it scattered, Shangguan Qingyang watched Shangguan Yulin laying in a half-a-mile crater with his chest caved in and spitting blood. He was looking with fear at the hovering man, unable to process what happened. Zhuo Fan lowered his right hand and wiped it with the other. Just like removing a swatted fly, the action left Shangguan Qingyang in shock. A radiant stage cultivator had just pulverized a soul harmony expert like it was nothing. Mr. Gu, what are you? Shangguan Qingyang was overwhelmed and perplexed by this mystery man, her delicate face expressing her naked confusion. Chapter 9:11, The High Moon Seals the Falls. Chapter 9:11, The High Moon Seals the Falls. Proofreader, Papatonks. Zhuo Fan drifted down to the ground, disregarding completely the pale and dying Shangguan Yulin or the shocked and frozen Shangguan Qingyang. His cold eyes were on the falls, his hands raised to start the array. Shangguan Qingyang's heart was jumping in her chest watching this proud figure, his nothing like before. He was completely different, like a stranger for some odd reason. This version of Jiyu Yifan had a certain devilish charm to him that made her not let him out of her sight. The insane power had a part to play, sure, but so did his mysterious air he carried himself with. Sir Jiyu? Zhuo Fan was about to work on the signs when she suddenly said, "Young Sanzi is gone. I think he came to the manor to look for you. We should go look for him and leave here before." The gestures paused and Zhuo Fan frowned. "Is that why you ran here? You just jumped into danger over something as lame as that?" The wounded Shangguan Yulin in his crater felt his face twitching at the question. "Fine. So I came along with you to this place for no reason and ended up half dead, but I cannot accept you still ignoring my plight and only ever thinking about that damn brat. I'm the one in most danger here." All kinds of annoyances, grievances, and rage got bottled up in his throat. Shangguan Yulin was close to crying, not like Shuo Fan and Shangguan Qingyang had time to mind a dying man. He might just as well be dead already, it only worked to fuel his bad thoughts. Young Sanzi is still a child and running here is dangerous. Shangguan Qingyang spoke heavily, Mr. Jiyu, no matter what you do, you must first look for him and make sure he's safe. Eyeing her firm eyes, Shuo Fan paused and turned around, you don't have to worry about young Sanzi. He's not here. I asked him to leave you and meet me someplace else. I'll go see him in a moment. What? Shangguan Qingyang was shocked. Shangguan Yulin rolled his eyes, his heart aggrieved. Coos, see that? While you're worried about that thing, his father already left himself a way out. Your kind intentions only make it worse. He doesn't care at all. Shangguan Qingyang's brow shook and gasped, you mean, you two lied to me? We've been lying about everything. Shuo Fan spoke, I'm leaving since the commotion will attract Bailey Jingwei and the others. Leave as well if you want to live or you're going to die at their hands. Shangguan Qingyang was obstinate as she watched his cold back. Are you trying to get me to escape? Then tell me the truth first. Talk or not, I'll know everything if I just stay. Including those things you two hid from me. Shuo Fan paused and nodded fine, then I'm not leaving. Let's see just how much you hid from me. Your funeral. Shuo Fan sighed, I gave you a chance as a favor for all you did for young Sanzi. But since you're suicidal, that's your problem. Shuo Fan ignored all and his hand weaved signs with every gesture that left Shuo Fan's hand. His fingers looked like dancing fireflies in the darkness. Stealing Shangguan Qingyang's breath away, the smooth movements showed his expertise in arrays and astounded the little girl to no end. The formidable alchemist she thought Shuo Fan was turned out not to be his only talent. Arrays were part of his repertoire as well. Just who is this man? Shangguan Qingyang had dumb look on her face. Shuo Fan's eyes were icy regardless, focused on the endless falls and his dancing hands rise, O moon, in the sky, letting the waves climb and reach for your height. Let them enter the moon palace as mist, my nature frozen within. Shuo Fan finished by extending a finger tilde. The jade falls surged, trembled and moved, the water splashing everywhere in fine mist. The moon above, drawn to something, sent its cold rays on the falls. The bright moonlight stung the eyes, the icy air chilling to the bone and making everyone close to the falls shiver. The falls shook harder now, like the rumblings of a huge wave. Shangguan Qingyang's lost eyes watched the spectacle in shock. What kind of array is this? And why did Mr. Jiyu set it up? Shangguan Qingyang cast her curious eyes on Shuo Fan, whose icy face finally revealed a faint smile. The gaudy moonlight flashed brighter before fading for good, revealing an astounding sight to Shangguan Qingyang. The majestic and wondrous falls froze in a glittering ice sculpture that ran for miles. The magnificent view touched this girl's heart. Shuo Fan poked it with a finger and the ice crumbled, scattering to pieces. With this, the frozen falls were no more and the jade falls were gone. The world wind tunnel was now sealed, making sure the drawing array inside would not be damaged. His job was done here. What did you do? How could you destroy something so beautiful? Shangguan Qingyang huffed at the loss, complaining to Shuo Fan. Shuo Fan shook his head, what an ignorant lass. With that commotion, those guys should be making their way here. Yet you don't care about your wee life but some scenery. I see you're as sharp as a marble. Shuo Fan listened to the slaughter dying down. What do you care? Can't I just die with that image as the last thing I see? Humph. Shangguan Qingyang huffed at him, but sighed in the end regardless. She was not one to see the reality. But at this time, going against her very nature was her desire to know this man's secret. So she was stubborn. Shangguan Qingyang peeked at him with a bitter smile. The Shangguan Qingyang who disdained men finally did such a dumb thing as well. Sounds of people getting near were heard from the battlefield. Now that the fighting stopped going back 2 minutes, the Shangguan clan and the guards were entangled in a fight to the death. Blood flowed like a river and casualties piled higher and higher. Yet not even the gory display could soothe Bailey Jingwei's worry. As for the venerables, with one of them wounded, their stance was growing shaky against Dan Qingshan. Coupled with Bailey Jingwei's bound heaven array, the Shangguan clan was done for. None would leave this place alive, not Shangguan Feixiong or his venerables. Eastern Land's power would fall, a house divided against itself. It would present Bailey Jingwei with the perfect moment to strike. The Four-Land Alliance would sport a crack as result, and the central area would have the best chance to go to war with them. By the looks of it, the odds stood with Bailey Jingwei in seeing the lands united in his lifetime. The fight this night affected the unity of all the lands. Bailey Jingwei held it in very high regard. Just that there was this one nagging feeling, even as victory was around the corner. Something he couldn't shake. Where is the problem? What have I missed? Bailey Jingwei sank in thought. Chapter 9:12, Escape. Chapter 9:12, Escape. Proofreader, Papatonks. Clan head, half of our men are dead. We can't hold on much longer. Clan head, we can't make a breach. The enemy's too strong. Clan head, we're surrounded. Clan head, the venerables can't take much more. Every shout was urgent and disastrous as it reached Shangguan Feixiong's bloody ears. I was wrong, completely wrong. He shouldn't have risked it for greed after he knew Bailey Jingwei and Danqing Shen were around. But he still went in for the soaring sword, and look where that got him. The Shangguan clan wouldn't be in this mess if it weren't for him. The venerables wouldn't be so hard pressed. It was all the clan head's fault for not analyzing the situation, for disregarding the signs. He turned from the exhausted venerables to the bodies of his men on the ground as more were added with a pitiful cry and a spray of blood. Their screams jarred his ears and tears of blood fell from his eyes. Brothers, I've let you all down. Clan head, don't say that, it's all that cunning Bailey Jingwei's fault for trapping us. One Genesis stage expert rushed over and held his exhausted, blooded and faltering form as he spat. We just have to get hold of him and Shangguan Feiyun will have to let us go. The man led the others. Brothers, follow me. Take Bailey Jingwei and help clan head in escaping. Take Bailey Jingwei. Help clan head escape. Shangguan clan's men roared like man-beasts in their charge for Bailey Jingwei. The man in question still stood calmly behind hundreds of guards, leaving no gap for them to exploit. A group rallied under cries of killing, using nothing but reckless bravery and suicidal actions in attempt to push through. But the tight group of guards were ruthless as the howls consumed the air and limbs were flying every which way. The small charging group fell defeated and Shangguan Feixiong slumped to the ground in despair. Those dead eyes saw only blood, his heart in the grips of torture. Prime Minister, the thieves lost their will and the fight will end soon. A guard reported as he saw Shangguan Feixiong's spirit fading, mocking, Sir's planning is brilliant and invincible. Bailey Jingwei nodded with a stony face, yet frowned instead of smiling. He looked in the distance, at the quiet ahead and said, the fight had been going on for a couple of hours now, so why isn't there anything coming from Sword King Feiyun? Is something going on here? Ha ha ha, Prime Minister is too worried. What could be going on when the whole of Shangguan clan is stuck here? The guard bowed. Moreover, victory is within our grasp. Even without Sword King Feiyun joining, it'll be fine. These thieves are going nowhere, hehe. Bailey Jingwei pondered and nodded. That may be the case, but with Sword King Feiyun around, it would save us the trouble. Boom. A loud explosion drowned his voice, shaking the air not too far away. Bailey Jingwei jerked and looked over. Whoosh. The cold moonlight shone down like a pillar upon this mortal domain, in all its glory. The sudden display put a halt on the bloody massacre, forcing the men to cover their eyes. A few minutes after, the moonlight faded, but not the shock on the men's faces. What was that? Bailey Jingwei raised an eyebrow at the sudden disturbance. He looked around and cried, that's where the Jade Falls are. The soaring sword. We've been played. Bailey Jingwei shook and looked appalled at the discovery. He turned to the Shangguan clan, on the verge of dying, and was filled with indecision. But then he snapped, open the barrier and follow me to the fall to protect the divine sword. Startled, the guards bowed at once. Prime Minister, we can't. The thieves are about to fall. If we open the barrier, they'll escape. Pa. Bailey Jingwei slapped him hard in anger. Damn slave, since when are you the Prime Minister? Humph, there's nothing more important than the soaring sword. It's the Patriarch's desired item. If we lose it, I can't take the fall and neither can any of you. Don't just stand there, open it. Shuddering, the man bobbed his head and made signs along with the others to open the barrier. The space cleared with a ripple and the cool evening air blew across their faces. The Shangguan clan never felt so alive as each new breath felt so precious. Having not been through such desperate fighting before, only now they did realize how good it felt to be a live dragon-cleaving sword king. Stop fighting and come with me to protect the soaring sword. The Shangguan clan might relax now, but Bailey Jingwei's group was agitated. The Prime Minister, always calm and shrewd, lost his bearing, shouting at the top of his lungs he took the lead for the falls, his men following right after to provide safety. All the guards were soon gone, leaving Shangguan clan's battered men like they didn't exist. Dan Qingshan paused and waved at the three seniors. Let's stop. I have to go over there. Do what you want now. He flew for the falls and grinned inside. That boy did it. Haha, he's really something to do it under the noses of two factions. Ha ha ha. Dan Qingshan didn't know what Shuo Fan's planned, but he knew he did it. Dan Qingshan, don't you dare run. We still have thousands of moves to take you. Cough. One venerable shouted but was soon forced to stop from a coughing fit. The other two sighed. Third, just stop. It's clear we're the ones losing so far. Fighting any longer will be the end of us. Don't brag or it'll look foolish. The man turned to the two and sighed. The first in Western lands isn't a pushover at all. They rushed to Shangguan Feixiong's side to see to him. How are you feeling, Feixiong? Clan head, are you all right? The clan was around him, looking at him with worry. His eyes still held some fear as Shangguan Feixiong looked at their faces. Did we just survive? Someone went to steal soaring sword while we fought. They panicked and rushed to protect it. It can be counted as surviving. One venerable sighed. Just who could this third party be? He must be really shrewd to play us both for fools. Feixiong, should we go see? Soaring sword is right there. Maybe we can use this chance to take it. Shangguan Feixiong's face shook with desire but refused. No, our greed made us suffer many casualties so far. We can't go through another disaster. I want all of the Shangguan clan to retreat, leave this dangerous place. With Bailey Jingwei around, it won't be easy taking chances. It's best not to fall for another trap. But the soaring sword is so close. Are we leaving it just like that? No, I and the venerables are the strongest and can escape with ease. We will go. A venerable was dissatisfied but Shangguan Feixiong's stance was firm. The rest are to leave Flying Cloud City and meet up with the others outside. Clan head. My mind is made up. Shangguan Feixiong cut at their protests. I've made one mistake and won't make another. Shangguan Feixiong is important but I won't ruin Shangguan clan's future for it. The men had no choice but to give up at their clan head's insistence. The venerables nodded. Shangguan clan's main force easily got away with Shuo Fan's map while Shangguan Feixiong and the venerables went for the falls unaware the precious soaring sword both factions were fighting over had been so easily taken by the same person they regarded as a mere pawn. Chapter 913, Speculation. Chapter 913, Speculation. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh tilde. The wind whistled as many men came down from the air before what was known as Jade Falls. They all had expressions of shock on them at the scene, moving from the melting icy bits on the ground to the two people she thought she knew. What she found was Shuo Fan's ice-cold eyes that filled her with fear, making her stagger back. Bailey Jingwei was fuming mad. His brow was shaking as understanding hit him. The nice guy persona was replaced with one of seriousness and gloom as he snapped at Shuo Fan. Grandmaster Gu, what exactly is this? Are you going to offer any explanation? Shuo Fan smiled as his only response whoosh tilde. Next to arrive was Dan Qingshan and Shangguan Feixiong with his three venerables. The strangeness of the situation got to them as well. Shangguan Feixiong was looking even more perplexed at the sight of his dear daughter. What is going on here? What are the two of them doing here instead of the meeting place? It was a strange scene for sure, seeing Bailey Jingwei, the pillar of the Swordstar Empire, and the Shangguan clan's top four standing side by side. They did not look to have any intention to fight at all. The gaps in their knowledge in this situation had their basic nature overridden. Their minds were too consumed in trying to understand what went on here than killing each other in rage. All stared at the youth in front with desire to clear this conundrum. Younger, what's happening here? Why did you come here? Shangguan Feixiong's eyes twitched, staring at his daughter. Shangguan Qingyang winced and peeked at Shuo Fan before turning to her father with a shrug. Dad, I'm not sure myself. I only came to look for young Sanzi, but who knows what really happened. You don't know either. Why are you standing here then? Shangguan Feixiong stared at his daughter in confusion. Bailey Jingwei snorted, Shangguan clan head, you're playing the fool now? Like your clan is not the obvious culprit behind this. Bailey Jingwei, what's that supposed to mean? What did we do exactly? Shangguan Feixiong glared at him in anger. The Shangguan clan is righteous in action, straightforward and responsible. We own our actions, but never take the fall for others. Bailey Jingwei, you'd better explain yourself. Explain? Bailey Jingwei raised a mocking eyebrow. It doesn't get much clearer than this. Humph, Shangguan clan head, I take my hat off to you. You have some serious nerves to play such a dangerous game. To steal the soaring sword, you used all of your clansmen as bait so Jiu Yifan, a whelp, could move alone and take advantage of the light guard. Ha ha ha, I do respect you. This move is glorious and I know when I'm beat. It never crossed my mind that the ever-righteous clan head of the Shangguan clan would also be a shrewd old man. Sword King Feiyun is far stronger than Sir, but had no chance still in winning the head position from you. This explains why, humph. Shangguan Feixiong was taken aback, more confused than ever. The venerables shouted, Bailey Jingwei, enough of your bullshit. Our clan head has always been kind and righteous, discussing with the elders before using his position. He's not shady and cruel as you shamelessly claim him to be. Shangguan Feiyun failed to win the head position due to his overconfidence and failure to get the public support. There's no conspiracy here at all. Bailey Jingwei, let's fight if you want, but don't try staining our clan head's good name or us three will put you in your place. TCH, hypocrites. Bailey Jingwei mocked, I did take clan head to have a big heart until now. But with his board open to me, his ruthlessness exposed, willing to use the blood of hundreds of his clansmen just for the sake of getting soaring sword, he's nothing more than a clan head with a nation ruler's designs. That's no gentleman if I ever saw one. As Bailey Jingwei's revulsion became more apparent, the venerables grew more pissed. Shangguan Feixiong was still lost in a deep fog. What did I do? How am I suddenly shameless and devious like a ruler? I'm just a cultivator, valuing heart, morals, and integrity. How am I suddenly like those mortals? Dan Qingxin kept his realizations to himself, hiding a grin. He only peeked at Shuo Fan to see him enjoying the drama. The brat toyed with these big men to the end, ha ha ha. Whoosh tilde. There were more visitors coming, interrupting each side's nagging. After uselessly guarding his designated spot the better part of night, Shangguan Feiyun finally joined the ruckus here. He didn't even register the cold looks he gained all around, opting for just standing there, frozen, and watching where the usual Grand Jade Falls had to be, only to find it gone and, like everyone else, maybe more even, he flew off the handle. What the hell is going on here? Where's my paradise? Where is the Jade Falls? Where is it? Bailey Jingwei rolled his eyes, his tone biting. Is this the time to be concerned with some water park, Sword King Feiyun? The problem here is the soaring sword. Oh, right, the soaring sword. Since the water's gone, where is the sword? Shangguan Feiyun shook awake and glared at everyone present like they each owed him a fortune. He finally chose to rest that savage gaze on his brother, old coot. Return the soaring sword if you know what's good for you. Do it now while I still consider you kin. Shangguan Feixiong's face twitched hard, wanting nothing more than to snap back at this traitor. Soaring sword belongs to Eastern lands, not your personal item. It's all in my right to take it back. Though it was sensible to gauge the precarious circumstances and keep it to himself. Would he just admit that he had it by saying that? Fighting again without even knowing the reason behind it would make them look like a joke. The third party who has the sword will be having the time of his life at our expense. Shangguan Feixiong thus ignored the blatant threat and taunt, and instead said in a dark tone, I don't have it. Who else is there? Humph, stop playing the goddamn fool. Who'd believe you? Shangguan Feiyun mocked. Shangguan Feixiong's face darkened. Bailey Jingwei smirked. Shangguan clan head, please stop playing word games with me. It might not be on you, but with another. But isn't he on your side all the same? Bailey Jingwei pointed at Shuo Fan in anger. All eyes snapped on the youth, but Shangguan Feixiong actually chuckled at that. Prime Minister Bailey, you got it all twisted. Soaring sword only sees Shangguan clansmen and not nobodies. Shangguan Feiyun snorted. Shangguan Feixiong had to agree as well. Soaring Sword was quite willful and only liked those it spent a long time with. It did not just up and accept some brat it barely saw, that's impossible. Bailey Jingwei still looked convinced of his speculation. The central area has the Sundering Sword, so of course I know a divine weapon's temper. I just have a feeling that Grandmaster Ji Yu can take the divine weapon regardless of not being part of the Shangguan clan. Aren't I right, Grandmaster Ji Yu? Zhuo Fan's eyebrows rose and regarded Big Dipper striking array with a devious smile. He ignored everyone as he walked up to the Big Dipper striking array. Prime Minister Bailey Shaw is sharp about everything, ha ha ha. So you do have the divine sword? Bailey Jingwei cried out, his bloodthirst increasing. Shangguan Feixiong's group looked at Zhuo Fan in shock. How? His no Shangguan clansman. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.